Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. Once again, it is Monday, March 9, 2026, and at 1:50 p.m., I call this Committee on Budget back to order. Okay. Members, thank you so much. We will proceed. We'll continue with our agenda item. So before us now, we have the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services. For your information, the presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 165-2026. And we'd like to welcome back to the chamber with us Director Andy Kawano, as well as Deputy Director Carrie Castle from the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services.
Good afternoon, Budget Chair Okimoto, City Council Chair Waters, Honorable Council members, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. I have the whole team with us today, besides Carrie Castle, our Deputy Director for BFS. We have Nancy Abilene here, Paula Youngling, our Central Purchasing Contracts Administrator. I think Stephen Takara, he was here, but he should be here shortly. Dennis Cano, who oversaw the budget administration process for us. He's the budget program administrator. Chief Connie Kaneshiro, our Chief Fiscal CIP Analyst. Rowena Santa Maria, our Department Staff Executive Assistant, helping us big time. And my Vanna here is Jennifer Bishop. She's going to be flipping the slides as we go through our short presentation and then take questions on budget and fiscal services. So going to the first slide, you will see the BFS budget only. There's a slight increase in salaries, a decrease in current expenses due to removal of one-time charges that we included in our fiscal 2026 budget. And then for equipment, we have a compact auto for our real property assessment team in Kapolei to go so they can go and visit sites and do inspections. Next slide, we wanted to talk about our budget issues that are built into our FY27 budget. The first item we wanted to discuss is our purchasing and general services budget issue that was an add-on for fiscal 27. You know, as you know, we've started our procurement improvement working group process. Our procurement improvement process included outside consultant to help us to look at the entire purchasing life cycle or procurement life cycle. You know, that's starting this year. We're in the first few phases of the project. We budgeted $300,000 in FY26. We are continuing the project going into FY27 to implement changes to procurement to get us to the future state. With regard to future software, we have a placeholder based on talking to other agencies on the mainland on their spend for software, and we felt that putting in $300,000 for a multi-year contract would make a lot of sense. Lastly, our procurement division will be moving to the Fosse Municipal Building sometime in October. What's happening is on the second floor, the Department of Transportation Services will be moving out. They'll be moving to 711 Kapiolani Boulevard. What we're going to do is move procurement to the second floor, and we're going to allow our Treasury Department to spread out currently on the first floor, you know, behind the customer service windows, and you know, take on procurement space and be able to be less stuffed, you know, in one area, and have all the work teams together all in one place for more efficient service to customers of the city. With regard to real property assessment, again, we are proposing a acquisition of a vehicle replacement, $45,000, to replace a 13-year-old vehicle at Kapolei Hale. such so that we can go out and, our appraisers can go out and do inspections at properties throughout the year. With regard to budgetary administration, as we have documented in the budget book, and we have talked about, during visits that we're able to schedule with council members, we're looking at further automation of our budget book compilation. We're looking at a platform that would allow multi-users to input information in a secure basis. We're looking at the ability to bring in layers of data and information from different sources and have a system that can track any historical changes by user so that we have control on the end product. We're looking at more efficiency. We're also looking at a better product that we're able to provide to council and the public through more, more of an effective compilation and more effective analysis in the report. Lastly, with regard to Treasury, we have a big, a large task this year. We have to stand up the Downtown Business Improvement District, and we have to do it quickly. They're targeting invoicing assessments under the new Downtown Business Improvement District, or BID, in the sum of about $1.8 million. That's their budget. They plan to spend $1.8 million on security measures, enhanced security measures, street cleaning, and general decorative improvements to be more inviting to the public in the Downtown Business District area. As such, we took a look at all of our BID activities. As you know, the Waikiki bid and special district have already been in operation. We found out that the systems and the way we share information with the nonprofit in Waikiki is not very efficient. We're exchanging spreadsheets. A lot of times the information provided is not accurate. Our supervisory staff would have to clean things up. It's just a huge weight on the team. And you'll see overtime when we cover overtime. It results in overtime. So we're thinking that adding a supervisory accountant who would be responsible for not only the stand-up of the downtown BID, but BIDs in general, through a reorg, some reallocation of workload, so we have improved supervision over our Treasury staff would be a big plus. We're going to need to spend some money on workspace in FY27. We've budgeted $20,000 for that. We're thinking that because the downtown BID has no staff, essentially there's a director and accountant, but they really don't have anyone to really get them up and going. We're requesting for a budget of $100,000 to augment staffing through perhaps a local CPA firm to help to put it up. This would be non-recurring. And then finally, we are thinking about software development on the current IAS Tyler technology platform to eventually get all of the billing and collection on the current real property tax billing and collection system. What we're going to do in the first and second years is we're going to run the billing and collecting on an automated platform offline. Our current ERP system, CGI, has an accounts receivable module. We're going to quickly use it to get the bills out in FY27 so that the BID can start funding operations. We think that's going to be important. And as such, some of the software costs will be for that to the extent we need it. But the real focus is to, at some point in time, get all of the BID activities for billing and collections onto our real property tax billing and collection platform so we can send one bill out. So that's our summary of our budget issues. We have our whole team here, so when we go into Q&A, if you have specific questions, I will call up our division chiefs or their designees to help to respond in the detail you need. With regard to our vacancies, you know, it looks like a lot. We're currently at about 55. As of February 1st, we're at 63. We were able to hire since February 1st 14, but we lost 6. You know, for the year, we actually hired 68. We filled 68 positions, and we actually have 11 more that we're looking to hire in the next month or so. We, at the same time, lost 56 positions. So 56 positions became unfilled. And what's kind of interesting is that, you know, while we're able to fill essentially all of the vacancies that we reported last year at the same time, we lost a whole bunch of people for various reasons. Retirement, some of it was that. Some of it was due to better pay at the state or in private industry. Some of the folks transferred to other departments within the city. You know, that's understandable, and you know, they transferred for promotional purposes in some cases. In other cases, they took a job with less stress and responsibility. But still, you know, quite a bit of people rotated off. At the end of the day, our vacant positions have a very short duration. You know, we don't have, you know, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year positions that have been vacant. The positions that are vacant have been vacant for a very short time, and we're going to continue to fill. With regard to the reallocation process of, you know, BFS contributing to the city to help, you know, balance the budget, to fund essential services, BFS reallocated approximately $1.2 million of salaries related to vacant positions. That $1.2 million would be put to good use, and it's going to require that, you know, we, like the other departments who reallocated vacant position salary dollars, we're going to have to put together a very deliberate and well thought out hiring plan. We're going to have to update our projections, not only for this year, but for 27, as soon as we roll into 27. And, you know, continue to hire, but schedule the hiring in such a way that we have the funding to pay for the positions we fill during the year. You know, we thought we'd be able to reduce vacant positions more significantly, but unfortunately we have the churn. You know, we're dealing with churn. So we're bringing people in, but at the same time people are leaving, and hopefully, you know, we can stop the flywheel at some point and cut down on the vacancies. So this current slide that's in front of you, it's slide 6. This slide reports on our department overtime by fund. You can see that we budgeted a little over $180,000 in overtime costs, and 90% of the funding is from the general fund. The next slide, 7, breaks down our overtime by activity. You can see that a lot of the overtime falls under accounting and fiscal services because we've had vacancies there. And it's our second largest division in terms of head count. Real property assessment is our largest division in terms of head count, just over 100 budgeted positions. Also had vacancies, although they're making both departments actually are making good progress in terms of hiring. The real property division has, I think, a very good succession plan in place for the future. So as our more senior staff retire, they have people in position to step up and continue to run the division. I think we'll move on from there. Those are the two big ones. Yeah. In terms of slide 8, we include our revenue estimates related to revenue sources that BFS is responsible for. The real property tax line is essentially the same information that we reviewed earlier today at the top administrative level. And then we have, as was mentioned, a number of other taxes that we collect, either directly as a city and county or through programs that are administered by the state and pass through to the city. But in general, the revenue streams compared to last year's estimated number are relatively flat. Actually, I should say FY26's estimated number. Revenues for the estimated budget amounts are relatively flat compared to FY26 as currently estimated. With regard to federal funding that BFS receives, the breakdown is provided in slide 9. A good chunk of it is from community development. It's HUD funding that we share with DCS. And we have some federal grants funding. That's essentially the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act funding that we receive through the state, DLIR, and then some additional funding to assist in fiscal support services for housing and community programs related to Section 8. The following slides breaks out the federal funding by activity. And as you can see, we have our administrative division. We have close to $240,000, which is provided by the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Again, we call it WIOA. We have the other big line item is accounting and fiscal services, getting about $142,000, I'm sorry, $527,000 for WIOA and HUD-related programs to provide fiscal services for the processing of transactions for those programs. The other large area would be Fiscal CIP administration. We have our federal grant unit there providing general oversight. The large one that they oversee is the CDBG program. Just a lot of reporting for the community block grant program and ongoing reporting, plan review, and other types of reporting for timeliness that go on throughout the year. With regard to the capital budget, BFS is responsible for a number of projects in the CIP budget. The first item is the $10 million that we have to put into the budget per the full funding grant agreement for Skyline construction. So that's an ongoing contribution the city makes. We're gonna put in a total of $214 million when everything's done, and I believe we have about $39 million to go. The next item is procurement of major equipment for CSD, acquisition of vehicles, and to give you a flavor as to what we're buying for CSD. We're getting larger electric cargo vans for their operations. The third line item on slide 12 is a procurement of major equipment for emergency management. That's $62,500. It's a SUV, 10-year life for their staff to get out to their various different operational locations. Going to slide 13 is next sheet of capital budget line items. We have $68,050 for acquisition of vehicles for the Department of Enterprise Services. And that is essentially a 3/4 ton extended cab truck with a lift gate. Following that, we have procurement of major equipment for DFM for their different facility maintenance operational needs. And DFM is replacing a lot of old equipment, including the more heavy-duty trucks, a bucket truck, SUVs, 4x4, medium size, and auger equipment, and a sweeper, a street sweeper, and just a lot of heavy-duty equipment. Also a mobile crane at $1 million. So one unit of that, $1 million for stream bed clearing. So a lot of heavy-duty equipment that they're getting caught up with in terms of replacement. And the last item that we have is procurement of major equipment for DPR. So essentially, heavy-duty vehicles that DPR uses for park maintenance throughout the islands. And, as you know, as they report every year, they have over 300 parks spread across Oahu. So sort of like DFM, they have a request for heavy-duty equipment to help with park maintenance. For instance, a rear end loader, large model pickup truck, $325,000, one of those. A 2,000-gallon water tanker truck, one unit of that, $290,000. A truck with hydraulic dome lights with a 17-foot 9-inch flatbed to pick up trash and haul trash, $180,000. So just huge heavy equipment needs there. And then I'm not going to read the equipment type for the last few sheets, but as you can see, we buy general equipment for departments like transportation services. We're getting two cargo vans, two passenger vans for the Royal Hawaiian Band to get their band members around for performances. And then the last item on this page is the project adjustment account. So it's a placeholder used to balance out purchases where, we're short a few dollars. The contract ends up lower than budgeted. We put the remaining appropriation in this account, and then we use it if we have other projects that are slightly short, slightly under budgeted. We can add to the project appropriation to complete the procurement. So that's it. We'll be here for questions, and again, our staff is here for more detailed inquiries. And look forward to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Kobano. Members, for this round, I'm going to continue where I left off. So we'll start off with Councilmember Wire for first round of questions.
Thank you, Chair. And mahalo, Director. I just had one, I guess, topic, and I think it's pretty straightforward, but just wanted to flesh out, and then maybe you have insight as to whether it's a DHLM or DCS question too. So we're looking at the HUD funds. So there's an allocation that goes to BFS. So just to clarify, I'm assuming so that portion related to a particular fund is the work that BFS does on those types of projects. And then from there, I'm just curious how the conversation has gone about project-based vouchers and whether it's including it or taking it from our current allocation or being able to accept more, or also potentially putting general funds to additional project-based vouchers. So I mean, that's kind of all wrapped up together. So I don't know if you have any insight on all of it, but I'll just let you comment on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. The project-based voucher programs were managed by DCS. So I think that's a question better for Director Crucky. But from our standpoint, we provide the support in terms of processing payments to support such vouchers. So if it gets to a point where we general fund some of it, which currently may be very difficult because of our constrained resources, to increase general funding of such vouchers may be hard. But we definitely would work with DCS, going forward to see if we can do things like that, subject to our capacity, our funding capacity.
Okay, appreciate that. I'll ask those questions of them then when we get to it, I think, in a couple of days, but mainly just asking for input. So appreciate your insight on that, because I think we're all looking for opportunities to increase housing units in the community. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. Director, we see the line item for vacancy cutbacks. In total for BFS, it comes out to a vacancy cutback for about 1.16 million. You rounded up 1.2 million. You mentioned that there are no across-the-board cuts, but that each department was looked into individually. Can you explain how you calculated the cutbacks for BFS?
So at the department level, we determined the overall cutback first. So we look, as I mentioned earlier today, we looked at lapsing trends. We looked at the vacancy percentage for the department and the trend, whether the vacancy percentage was getting better, getting lower, relatively flat, or increasing. So we looked at trends there. We analyzed if they had the information, the retirements and lump sum retirement, vacation pay, accrued vacation pay payouts we'd have to make. We looked at whether or not departments would be adding new programs, new activities, and whether those activities had to be staffed. So, and whether those new programs and activities were approved by the mayor. So in those cases, we would have to factor in, ensuring that we have enough cash, enough budget to cover those activities and programs. So the same thing got applied to BFS. We determined that based on our lapsing trend, we would, within reason, be able to take a reallocation of approximately $1.2 million. And then what we needed to do was push that $1.2 million down to the divisions. So we have different divisions, and the bigger ones are real property assessment and accounting fiscal. So, they took a large share of the 1.2. And again, most of that is in general funded dollars. So that's how we did it, knowing that, we provided our best estimate, and, we may have to transfer between divisions once we put our hiring plan into effect and we implement it. But we did our best to push those reallocations down to the various divisions.
Thank you, Councilmember Toba. Committee Vice Chair Nishimoto.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Kawano. Just one question. Toward the ending of your presentation, you kind of touched on the project adjustment account for CIP. I don't quite understand what that is.
It's a balancing account. So if we have a project,
Okay.
contract comes in, let's say the contract comes under for a project, let's say the contract or PO, purchase order is $10,000 less than what was appropriated. We're able to take that $10,000, add it to this project line, and then use the 10,000 plus 1,000 already there, or 2,000, to help to fund other projects that come up just short. So it helps to keep projects moving along if the actual bid comes in higher than what we've appropriated. And
So-
it's not large dollars, it's
So the way
usually
the money,
very small.
the way the money comes in is if a project has more money, it's less money required than we appropriated, then you put it in there.
If that's so. And it's not just cash, right? Some of the projects could be bond funded.
Right.
So it's really an authority. So, you know, we have a project, we get the bid, it comes in less than what we appropriated for that project line item.
And
If-
you can only move money into that account when you complete the project that we appropriated the money for.
When we get the contract bid, we can move it,
Okay. If it comes in less.
if it comes in less.
So
yeah.
that's the money that goes in.
Yeah.
How much money went in last year to that account?
I don't have those final numbers. Let me check to see. Did we track that? The in and out in the project adjustment account? Council member, if you want the information, we can provide it to you.
Okay.
You know, that transaction level activity, we don't have it right now.
Okay. I'd like that.
Okay.
I'd like to know the in and the out. Getting to the out, so the in is overages from excess of what we appropriated for a specific project, right? You can't just move money that we appropriated into this account without doing the project.
Yes.
Yes, you can, or yes, you cannot.
You cannot. You
Okay.
cannot. Yeah.
So to move it out, does it have to be in the same department, the money that we appropriated for, or the same line item, or what are the restrictions to move it out?
It can go from project to project. It doesn't have to be in the same department.
So you could have an overage in parks that could be used for DFM or any other department then?
It's possible, but honestly, the overages are not that big in most cases. What we see more of currently is where the bid comes in higher than what's appropriated. That's the general trend that I've seen, at least. So honestly, I don't think the activity in this account, project adjustment account, is going to be that high. It'll be smaller in terms of dollars relative to, you know, the budget as a whole.
Okay, if you can get me the numbers for the in and the out for the last couple of years, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Committee Vice Chair Nishimura. Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Director. I'm looking at the budget book, page 812, where the city gets its dollars. And of course, as you mentioned, real property tax, 37.52%, which is about 1.7 billion. But a large chunk is carryover restricted and carryover unrestricted. Carryover restricted is 22.9%. 22.9%. What does that mean in dollars?
Chair Waters, you're not looking at the presentation. You're looking at something else, right?
Yeah, I'm
You're
looking at the budget book. The budget book.
Okay. So you're looking at page 812 in the budget book.
Correct. The pie chart.
Yeah. So the carryover restricted are the fund balance carryover from all of the special funds of the city.
Right.
And unrestricted is essentially general and highway fund. Most of it is general fund.
Right. So carryover restricted 22.9% equals about how much in dollars?
Oh, 22.9% times 4.74 billion, over $1 billion.
Yeah, about $1 billion. And then the unrestricted carryover is 8.65%. What does that amount to in dollars?
About $400 million rounded.
About 400 million. And do we need this money to balance the budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
We use our fund balance, our unreserved fund balance to balance the budget, and we always have, yeah.
Okay. I know you mentioned earlier today that the guidance for cutting each of the departments was based on salary lapsing and tracking vacancies. Can you tell us a breakdown by department of each carryover or lapsed money?
We can provide that information to you. I don't have it handy right now, but I know we have it.
I mean, you did provide to us in these monthly reports recently. I just want to see if my numbers are accurate. So BFS was appropriated about 24.3 million in general funds, and BFS lapsed 3.1 million. Is that accurate?
Is that for FY 25?
25.
Yes, that's about right.
Okay, and if we're taking all funds, including community development funds, federal grant funds, granted aid, BFS lapsed more like $6 million.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Okay. And of course, a lot of these, I'd imagine, like the federal grants fund and I guess the big one here, yeah, would be federal grants. Geez, we lapsed almost 100% of that.
Yeah, that might be the fund that had been set aside in the past for the sale of restricted deed homes. You know, it's that Eva Villages program whereby the city contributed to the down payment for homes. And I believe when the homes get sold or refinanced, you know, the homeowner pays the city its share of the amount. We always appropriated just in case the homeowner fell short and the city needed to, you know, replenish, if you will,
Right.
that amount. And we had never used it. So I think we took it out. So if you look at the FY 27 budget and even 26, we don't have that number in the budget.
Okay, and I can go into more detail on these various funds, but offline.
Yeah, the other thing that we haven't used in recent years is the Transit Construction Mitigation Fund that we set up.
Right.
You know, we've been spending $50,000 to $60,000 annually, so we've paid out 5 to 6 grants for you know, mitigation purposes. And it hasn't really taken off. So for 27, we reduced the amount that we're funding into the Transit Mitigation Construction Fund. We have maybe $100,000, I think, because that'd be more than enough based on current trend.
Okay, but back to the carryover of unrestricted, 400 million. Can you tell us which departments carry over the most?
I think it's proportionate to size in general. So I believe that in terms of general fund amount, a large amount is from police, heavy from the patrol division, but it's spread out from all the different you know, departments, DFM, you know,
Do other
parks to some
municipalities
extent.
budget the way we do, where they count on the carryover to balance the budget?
We use the carryover to balance the budget.
We do. Like, my question is, do other municipalities do what we do? Is this common?
I believe it is. And, like I've mentioned in the past, it was something that I had to learn coming in from private industry, because typically in private industry, you spend your revenue. You don't spend your fund balance, you don't spend your equity, your stockholders' equity. I saw right away the city puts everything in, and I've looked at other ACFRs for other city, and they do the same thing. The good thing is, as I mentioned, we've been on an actual basis, we've been able to grow that fund balance. So we have some cushion that can be a shock absorber if unanticipated, emergencies come up. But, you only can rely on that for so long. Eventually, we're going to have to drive our revenue base, to cover operations. But yeah, everything, we go all in. So all of the unreserved fund balances, unrestricted and restricted, from the unrestricted funds and restricted funds are used to balance the budget.
I see. And where are the carryover funds held? Is it cash or do we invest it?
The cash is all invested. All of the unused cash, discretionary cash, they're invested in an investment pool. So you have, you look at the balance sheet, you have cash and you have fund balance that, you may have some small amounts of receivables and payables, but for the most part, it's cash and fund balance. The cash is always invested. We track the unreserved portion of the fund balance so that we know how much of our cash we can use to fund a budget.
I see. And what is the rate of return on our investment?
I think we checked recently. I think it was about 4.5%.
Okay.
During the past during the past year. It's going to come down because the interest rates have been coming down.
Are you able to tell us how much of the carryover is due to vacancies?
We would have to go back a number of years, but if you look at the more recent years and compare the amount of lapsing we've had due to salaries, I think we could come out with maybe percentage of the total, but it'll probably be significant. That's what I think.
Yeah, if you can get back to us on that, that would be helpful. You do provide a vacancy report, which we're combing through. I think I kind of have an idea on how many vacancies per department, but I just want to run my numbers by yours. Okay, I'll leave it at that at first round. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Cordero.
So just one clarification for
Sorry, Director. Go ahead.
City Council Chair Waters. How many years do you want to go back? Can we just do the most recent year?
I'm looking back from 2024, but 2 years should be fine.
So 25, 24.
Or I was going to say 26, 25.
26, we don't have a final lapse number yet.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we can get you 26 after we close 26.
Okay, 24 and 25 would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chair.
Director Kawano. Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Director Kawano, I just have two topics to bring up. Oh, wait, don't bring back his budget book. Can you go to page C50? Thank you. Okay, so Director Kawano, I just want to talk about charges for services. Can I have clarification for the charges for services on page C50? I know it's only $1.17-ish million, but regarding that, can you clarify that are we being charged or are we charging the charges for services? I have a question after that clarification.
Sorry, council member, I don't understand your question. What
Are we being charged or are we charging for those services? So like the military housing fee, lieu, RPT, the charge for photo ID, those type of things. Bottom C50.
Charges for services.
Yeah. Do you see that? $1.17 million. So I know that, maybe I'll ask the question first. We see that it has, it goes up and down, and I was just wondering, okay, hold on.
Oh, okay. So we actually collect those? Okay, those charges are collected by BFS.
Oh, so it's collected. So is
Yes.
that revenue? That's revenue?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then for that revenue, I noticed that it ebbs and flows with how much comes in. And if that's revenue, and does that stay within its own pocket? Or does that go to the general
It
fund?
goes into the general fund.
Okay. Are we looking to increase revenue through means of that way?
Well, the objective is to help people get by tough times now, right?
Okay, yes.
And typically, the kind of taxpayer or constituent that pays this kind of charge is those that are having a hard time.
I understand.
So to increase fees for those that maybe bounce a check or something like that, I don't think would make a lot of sense. So no, we're not.
Okay,
We're not
so when we
increasing
charge a military
charges.
housing fee, that's based off of the housing stipends that our military neighbors provide. And I have a lot of military neighbors in my district. I have from IAEA to AMR to Fort Chapter, all over the place. So, like, just wondering, like, if they're paying like a real minimum, that maybe we should try to increase.
We could look at that. I
Okay,
don't.
thank you. I'm just
yeah,
trying to
I don't
find
know
ways
for
to
sure.
like little by little, like, so, because if it's a stipend and a stipend that has not increased in long time, then maybe we should look at it because that has continued to decrease. So anyway, we can talk about that later. Find out
Stephen
information.
Takar is here. He can provide more details.
That, or you can just provide it in writing because I would like to talk with my military neighbors. Thank you.
They're talking about the military housing.
It can be done in writing.
Something that we can.
It might be a long-winded answer.
Is it tight because it says RPT, like in lieu of RPT?
No, I don't think so. We would have to get back to that.
Okay. You're right on. We're going to have to get back to you
Okay.
and look
I
into
figured.
that a little more.
But you see where I'm going at, yeah? Kind of. Okay, we'll talk about it
I
after.
can see it. Yep.
Okay. All right. My second topic and my last topic would be about procurement. I know you got the procurement working group, and which is awesome. I know, so it's another $300,000. And so do we know how many multi-years or years in the multi-year contract that you're looking to include into the city budget? Is it going to be like 5 years or what?
I think is it a 3-year contract, what we have now? Just 1 year, and we're going to renew it?
Oh, renew? Okay.
Yeah, it's a 1 year renewable 1 year. So it's
Okay.
not a 5 year or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that since BFS, especially in the charter in section 9-301 under procurement and disposition, property, but just in general, yeah. In section, or in chapter 3, 9-301, it says that purchase orders shall be issued upon the endorsements of purchasing administrator, which is the key person, right, for procurement. And then it says promulgated by the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. I'm just wondering if this procurement working group and through this contract, the $300,000, if we're looking to allow for more than just one purchasing administrator so that the departments can provide procurement at a more efficient rate.
So I understand the question. So purchasing administrator is our division chief for
Yes.
purchasing.
I understand
And
that.
your question is whether we're going to have more than one. Honestly, we're not at the stage yet where we're discussing the future stage of what
Okay.
our procurement program is going to look like. I would think that it would be, based on the way the city is set up, unusual to have 2 purchasing administrators.
Okay.
It would be very different unless unless the consultant comes back and says, there's so much going on in, I'm just making this up, right? So
Yeah.
much going on in procurement. You may be better off splitting it into 2 departments to have sub-functions, if you will, with a separate administrator for each. But, this department is not that big.
Okay.
We currently have 44 budgeted positions. So I don't think it's going to go there, but we have added capacity at the procurement specialist level, and we're going to add an EM level person to assist in policy and to help in special projects, help in training. So we're looking at ways to improve capacity based on what City Council has approved, to improve capacity for purchasing.
So we're not looking at decentralizing and giving the other departments other than BFS, and I'm not saying that purchasing is, I just want to see if they get help from other departments if we decentralize purchasing administrators within different departments.
Yeah, to that question, we are in the process of smartly decentralizing certain areas. As you know, the small purchase limit increased from under $25,000 to under $50,000. So that expands decentralization for small purchases. We're piloting, allowing the Department of Enterprise Services to handle their own concession agreements. That doesn't go through purchasing. They have a smart staff member who works with CORE and our office, our BFS administration office. We've delegated the development agreement type contracts with HLM.
Okay.
And so that's been sort of delegated to expedite procurement with regard to development agreements, leases related to development agreements, and so forth. Yeah. So we are looking at ways to delegate where it makes sense. But I think in general, we're going to remain to be substantially centralized. The question is, how can we be more efficient, during the whole procurement life cycle, from the very start of identifying a need where some kind of augmentation is needed so we can provide services to the public, all the way through, the execution of the contract and notice to proceed. So we're looking at that window to see how we can be more efficient.
Okay. Thank you. And hopefully during this this year of the $300,000 contract for fiscal year 27, that they'll be able to look at, the in-house facilitation that your procurement or purchasing division will be able to focus on staffing-wise, because I know that other departments are, from the all-out years of federal funding, that from the out years of procurement working group, that you got to start planning for how much money and how much staffing you'll be adding to purchasing. So that's all. And then one last thing relating to purchasing and procurement. So you highlighted a lot of CIP here, especially for bigger equipment. And those equipment, especially for the Department of Facility Maintenance, have been road maintenance division requests and needs forever for maybe majority of my time working at the council. And so, as BFS director, and it's not just you, there's been 3 BFS directors that I've seen before, but it says in the charter, from time to time, secure from all agencies estimates of their needs for articles of common use and shall, when practicable, is that a word? Consolidate requisitions in order to secure the benefits of quantity purchases, and to that end cooperate with other public agencies. So that means when the bucket truck, and as well as the excavator that I know that I've been talking about for three years, that DFM has needed, and if we just need, they said they only had one, that one Honolulu yard, it broke down and then couldn't take care of majority of the streams that the Honolulu yard has had. And so every single budget director and budget division probably has not been listening to other departments. And so that's really frustrating that in this charter, that's what we're supposed, you as the director should be doing. And I think that we should just listen to the departments more. Just maybe the different divisions have other means and thoughts about that, but if one truck goes down and we can't take care of streams from Aiea to Waimanalo, I mean, that's a huge problem. So I just don't want to hear that, oh, we don't need another excavator. We need to start putting that in and start budgeting for backups and stuff. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Council Vice Chair Tupola.
Thank you. I just had quick questions about references to the sewer fund. So throughout the budget book, there are various areas where the sewer fund was used. It's on page B7, and then later on B9 for accounting and fiscal services, and then later on B11 for purchasing and general services. So are these just anybody that's related to the distribution of the sewer fund that uses it for salaries in your budget?
So from time to time, and this happened over the years, it didn't happen recently. The sewer fund has funded specific positions, within, let's say BFS, in accounting, for instance, in procurement to help, with their needs, in terms of purchasing, in terms of accounting and fiscal services. So that has happened, but it's on a spot basis. It's not predominant. It's not predominant. Most of the sewer fund salaries and positions paid by sewer fund dollars are within E&V, not in other departments.
Yeah, I'm asking that because I thought that the rule per the law was that the sewer fund could only be used for things associated with the maintenance, operation, or execution of sewer-related items. So I guess, yeah, I noticed that it was kind of spot here, spot there. How are you guys able to justify that you use like a couple $100,000 here for sewer fund there? Is it because they touch certain sewer fund assignments?
So we have a section in procurement that only does E&V procurement. Yeah.
And then is there other departments that also use the sewer fund, like in spot places like this?
I believe there are up to a handful more throughout the city, but it's again in spot positions that have been established over time, and they're only supposed to be working on sewer fund activities. Yeah.
Is there anywhere in the book that shows where all the sewer fund goes to? Because I was interested to see that it's kind of in various places, or is there no place that we can actually see where it's
Well,
all?
you can actually see it in the bill.
Oh, in the bill, because it has
if you go to the operating bill,
it has the SF for the code.
yeah, the acronym is SW. I don't know my
SW
SW
stands for
Sam
Sewer
William.
Fund.
Yeah, so if you go to the budget bill, you look for funding source SW.
Okay.
You'll see
Where
where
it's being
it's
utilized.
dispersed in terms of departments outside of E&V. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Councilmember Kiaina.
Thank you. Director, you and I have already discussed in person, so I don't have any questions. This relates to the CDBG program. So I look forward to getting a briefing by your staff who knows all of the details relevant to just historical patterns on city projects versus projects with nonprofits. I think both yourselves as well as the Department of Community Services know my concerns. I'm not trying to take any funding away from meritorious city projects, but I do want to ensure that you guys heed my concerns. And I think, again, I would just reiterate, given the fact that DPR receives the bulk of the transit accommodation tax, which is about $8 million, I noticed for the Climate Resiliency Fund, they're also eligible for. They should not be putting in projects for CDBG. Let's allow more opportunities for nonprofit organizations, given the dearth of funding available, period, right? We have grants and aid, and then we have some CDBG funds. And so I just want to make sure that whoever from your office is coming to see me, hopefully next week or the week after, I just get a good idea. And I think there needs to be closer collaboration between yourselves and DCS. I would like them to take a little bit more responsibility in the effectiveness of the program. It's not, I don't think that it's okay for them to keep on saying that you guys are making the decision with the managing director. They're the ones administering the program, and I think that they need to care about some of the concerns of the city council members, including myself.
Councilmember Kiana, can I make a comment on that? I agree with your suggestions and recommendation, but with regard to administration of CDBG, at one time I thought, earlier on I thought it was DCS that was the major administrator or the top administrator, but it's actually BFS, and it's been that way because of the significant reporting needed, to HUD. Especially on timeliness specifically, and to ensure, we're on top of projects that get done on time and they get reported on time, funding is done, because if we don't keep up, we have that issue with timeliness. And I understand your concerns about keeping nonprofits funded, but we have to look at what they're actually doing, because there are, as you know, caps, right, in certain kinds of activities.
Yes, I agree, but I don't feel that I have ever, in the time that I've been here, ever been sat down with any member from your staff in details. I probably have brought it up to you and maybe others.
We've had a number of meetings with you, but at our level with Anton and Edward.
Not at the detailed levels, and since they're the ones doing the reports, let's just talk about it. I understand capacity building, but I do believe post-COVID, we have greater capacity with many of our nonprofits, including for housing development, both acquisition to build new projects or even renovation. So I just don't want us to be regurgitating things from the past. We have moved beyond that. We have a lot of competent nonprofit organizations out there, and we need to move forward.
Okay, we will follow through and get the team in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Floor Leader Kia Aina. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. Not a question, but just as a statement, Director, I appreciate our conversations about this year's budget thus far. Throughout the budget process, I'm going to continue to keep an eye on the 63 individual funds that are specifically called out in Chapter 6, and the several uncodified funds, including the Pauahi R15 fund. Thank you. I'm glad that we're finally using this fund that has not been utilized meaningfully for about 5 decades. And Budget Chair, I'd like to see if we can use the underlying operating budget bill to close out that fund, given that Bill 9 still has not been referred after 5 months of being introduced.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Members, before I go to round 2, I just had a couple of questions, Director. This is kind of piggybacking on what I asked earlier in the morning. You did explain the usage of CIP funds for vehicles. And I was just wondering, in your presentation today, you did have a list of some vehicles that were for departments. You mentioned the CSD van, and I guess I'll save that for when CSD comes before us. I was just curious what the purpose of the vans and the other vehicles and the truck that CSD is using. But in these other departments, I was wondering why BFS is purchasing these vehicles and not the specific departments. Is it because you're floating bonds? What's the reasoning for this?
I think BFS processes equipment purchases for general government. So we have been the keeper of the books, so to speak, for equipment procurement. And it makes a lot of sense because if you look at how we budget, we have to make sure that we have adequate budget dollars to fund salaries, current expenses for operations. And a lot of times what we have left is what's available for equipment purchases, that go into the operating budget. And, I've heard other council member comments about, BFS, not staying on top of the needs and not listening. But I think over the years, not just recent years, but over the years, the city has gone through tough times, and they've had to make decisions on, what can be funded. And unfortunately, maybe too often, the equipment needs take the cut, versus staffing and current expenses to keep operations running. So I think...
okay, so in this case...
And then that's probably why BFS is involved in the equipment purchases,
because seems like you guys
we're
are
the
doing
keeper
a lot.
of the budget. Yeah.
I think that's what I was gathering. It seems like in the questions, BFS is doing a lot. So when it comes down to even then going to the specific departments, I'm guessing this is part of their wish list that didn't make the cut. So then BFS comes in and use as your
Oh, no,
funding?
those made the cut.
Those made the cut, but it's going through you and not the departments.
There was a longer number of requests for equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will go around for round two, starting with Councilmember Guyer, Councilmember Toba, Council Chair Waters, Councilmember Cordero, Councilmember Tupola.
Briefly, in the upcoming acquisition, or would it be acquisition? Transfer of land for villages of Kapolei, the state is going to be paying us to take it over. Is there going to be a fund set up for the monies that's being transferred from the state to us? Because there is CIP money already for villages of Kapolei, but I was just wondering, how are we going to account for the money coming over so that we know that that money is going towards infrastructure in the land that's being transferred from the state to us?
We will be able to track the money. Honestly, I know the total amount is $60 million. That's the amount discussed. But the time period through which those monies get paid or paid to the city has been fluctuating. So, it's been going up and down, and
10 million over 6 years and...
Yeah, so now I think it's 10 million, and there's going to be smaller amounts from years 3 to 10.
Are you going to put a code on it? I just want to know where...
We're going to have to code it because we found out that the state is going to be providing those monies from their general GEO bond proceeds. So there's going to be CIP monies, in other words, and then operating fund monies. So we're going to have to track it.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to hearing more about what the code may be so that we can track it. I'm hoping that maybe this code will surface in this upcoming budget, because sometime this year, I'm hoping that this will get finished.
I'm hoping so too, because it's been going on since we started. It's 5 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tupola, Councilmember Kiaina, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Okay. Thank you so much, Director Kawano.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions for BFS, we'll now move on to the Department of Emergency Management. Members, for your information, the presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 166-2026. And with us this morning, or this afternoon, we have from the Department of Emergency Management, Dr. Randall Collins, Director, as well as Deputy Director Jennifer Walter. And mahalo to all of the BFS team who are here. Good afternoon, Director Collins.
Aloha, good afternoon, Budget Chair Okamoto and council members. Pleasure to be with you today. Okay, we're ready to go. So, Department of Emergency Management, our focus is obviously the coordination and protection of the city and county of Honolulu and its residents and visitors, especially during times of disasters and emergencies. So pleased to announce that with our FY27 budget, we are looking at a fairly significant increase, which reflects the Mayor Blangiardi's focus on improving disaster preparedness and emergency management across Oahu. We have a 40% increase in our salary, which comes with, which I'll talk about later, comes with 8 new full-time employee positions. We have a 2.78 increase in our current operational budget. We are not increasing anything in equipment. In fact, not making any of those purchases this year. And with a total of a 30% increase over the entire budget, with the major change being that $518,969 that will be funding largely the salaries of the full-time employees with small amounts for, we had some pay increases, and we have a small amount bumping up our operational budget. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we're adding 8 new full-time employees. They're listed here. And that increase comes with a $420,804 increase to the budget for FY27. Now that obviously seems a little bit low. What we've done is we've prorated over the year, where we know we're going to have to spend some time doing a a reorganization and getting that through the process through BFS and through HR. And then we know that we want to go in order of some of the people that we want to hire. So we'll hire supervisors first, followed by some of the other staff, and allow those supervisors to get engaged. So not all of these positions are funded for the entire year, which is why that $420,000 is so low over eight full-time positions. Next slide. Currently, we have 4 vacant positions of our 15.5 funded positions, and we hope to have 3 of those filled before July 1st, and the other one to be filled later in FY27. And so that's our focus of those positions. We're currently waiting on 3 of those positions to get through some of the process that we have to get those positions made available to post. In terms of overtime, we're focused on $62,500. This is very important, especially as we have no real after-hours operational budget or staffing. And so when we get into Emergency Operations Center activations, or when we get into after-hour calls, our staff duty officer picks up these phone calls, or the EOC picks up everybody activates for the Emergency Operations Center activations, and that's largely what that will focus on, is funding those after-hours responsibilities that DEM has. Next slide. Our federal funding has been quite a blessing. We've actually increased our Homeland Security dollar allotment. Our emergency management performance grants have remained consistent, and we also, I believe, got a slight bump in our what we call the State Homeland Security Program funding. So we've got quite a large bump up there. We do have 4.5 full-time federally funded positions that actually some of those are actually going to be moved over to civil service, and then we'll reevaluate and looking at expanding those the then vacant positions with the federal funding, and determine what might be the next best step with that federal funding and new positions there. In regards to our departmental review summary, we do get funding from the local Emergency Planning Commission, the emergency planning that's focused on hazardous materials. Largely, this money goes toward planning initiatives and goes toward some travel and some meeting costs that our LEPC has. This is all funded by Tier 2 storage facilities who pay into the State Emergency Response Commission, and then the county gets a cut, a $90,000 cut on this, and that's largely what those funds support. In terms of our capital improvement projects, we have 3 listed on our budget. One is a purchase of major equipment, which will be a vehicle, and we'll actually have a separate slide on that. We also have $2 million focused on the Hauula Resiliency Hub, very important building that may even be the start to developing a larger and more improved shelter program on the island. We're really excited about the Hauula Resilience Hub being in a very remote area, one that is very susceptible or at risk of becoming an isolated community within Oahu. And so having started the process on the Resilience Hub is very important to Oahu and to the Hauula community. I also would just like to point out that this committee, or not committee, I'm sorry, but this council did do a resolution in support of this Resilience Hub back in August of 2023. So just ask that we continue to support the initiative there. And then the last CIP budget, totaling $333,000, spans across 2 different what we call regional operation centers. One is required to have a conversion of its underground storage tanks. And this is by law, we have to do this. And so there we have 200,000. And then the other regional operations center is 130,000 for improvements to the air conditioning and the generator that provides the air conditioning and the power for that underground bunker, if you will. And then lastly is our procurement of major equipment. We currently have funding for $62,500 for one vehicle. That should be a good step in replacing our oldest vehicle, which is a 2005 SUV. So very old vehicle there that we're hoping to move on and get into 2026 era kind of thing. And with that, that wraps up my briefing, and happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Director Collins. We'll start again, go around. Councilmember Tolba is good. Committee Vice Chair Nishimoto. Thank you, Chair Waters. Thank you, Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. Hey, just real quick, I talked about it earlier today. If there was a major disaster to come to Oahu, do we have facilities to evacuate people to that would withstand, say, a Force 5 hurricane?
Sorry, I didn't catch the whole question, sir.
So do we have emergency facilities to evacuate people to that would withstand a Force 5 hurricane? Where do we evacuate people to currently? Last time there was a hurricane watch, you know, they told people to go to New Valley Elementary or Intermediate. Mm-hmm. I went there, chop off food for folks, yeah, and it didn't look very safe. So what's the plan? And do you need the resources to start upgrading these facilities in the event? Because my feeling is we've been super lucky that we haven't been hit by a hurricane. So where do we evacuate people to? I know at one time we evacuated people from Waikiki over to the convention center. Mm-hmm. That place seems safe, but you know, these elementary schools where we currently send people, that doesn't seem very sturdy.
Most of our facilities that we use for these types of things are either DOE facilities or parks facilities and a few others. But that being said, my understanding is that none of them are, well, first of all, there's a common misunderstanding of what things are rated for, and things aren't really rated for a specific hurricane, but they're rated for various wind speeds and other factors that we want to look into. But currently, we don't have any of these facilities that are would withstand hurricane force winds, which is why we don't really advocate for sheltering before the storm. And if we get to a point where we believe we're going to have people at risk because they're in single-walled homes and that sort of things, we will activate what we call last refuge, areas of last refuge. And it's because we know we're moving them out of their single-walled homes and telling them that they can go to these particular locations. But given the situation that we have in that these buildings across Oahu aren't rated for the wind speeds that we would see in hurricane force winds, that's a place of last resort that we want people to do. We really want people to go with their families, friends, and find other locations that are in buildings that are using more of those newer building codes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's kind of a scary thought, though, right? That we really don't have any place to go in the event. Like, you know, there are a lot of Hicks homes. I live in a single-family home on stilts.
Yeah.
That thing's gone. It's literally going to be gone during a hurricane. And I live on a hill. But so many other families are similarly situated that I'm wondering if at some point the city should start investing in shelters that are hurricane-proof.
Yeah.
At least a few on the island, you know. But you agree with me that basically we don't have any place for people to go.
That's right. It's a wicked problem that we have here in Oahu that, you know, I absolutely need addressed it. I think the Hauula Resiliency Hub is a great step in that right direction, but it's just a baby step in what we need to overcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Waters. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Hi, Director Collins.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. nice uniform. I thought HPD was actually here trying to steal your thunder with your budget. But yeah, so are all emergency services, emergency management and staff going to be donning this type of a uniform too?
No, we have 149 Emergency Management Reserve Corps people that wear this uniform, and those are who I'm representing right now with regards to this.
Oh, okay.
But our civilian staff will stay civilian, or non-uniform staff will stay non-uniform.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it. And then so that funding for the uniform then would come straight from the department, or will it be able to come from federal funding as well?
Well, that's a great question. So when we look at uniforms, we really don't call them uniforms. When we're talking about federal funding, we're talking about personal protective equipment, and that's what we utilize our Homeland Security funding for. If it were something that we're not eligible under the Homeland Security funding or Emergency Management Performance Grant funding, then we would look toward operational funding for that.
Okay, thank you. So that wasn't my question. It was just when I saw a quick glance, I was like, oh, okay. So my questions are, as it relates to the 8 FTE, are they all new? Were they ever funded federally prior? Would you be able to explain that?
Yes, ma'am. So as mentioned before, we have 4 positions that are federally funded right now, and we would like to see those 4 positions moved over to the civil service positions that we now have created. And then we'll, so again, that would then just lead to us being increased by 4 positions for brand new positions. And then we'll look at the federal funding and what's available and the way that the end of performance periods and the grants lines up. We'll look at maybe creating a few more new federally funded positions with that money that we're now not using because we switched those staff members over.
Okay, just to clarify, so now that you're going to be switching over the 4 that are, you can maybe so you can hear me now? Yes, okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so now with the new 4 positions that are federally funded going to be funded through the FTE, through general fund salaries, then you said that it opens up the federally funded positions, is that correct? I just wanted to get clarification on that.
Got to get used to that. Yes, ma'am, because we're taking them off of the federal funds and putting them onto our operational budget, which then leaves the federal funds now open and unused. So now that we can use that for newer positions.
Thank you. My last question is in relation to procuring a major equipment. I know you said that that vehicle is pretty old, yeah? So I was wondering, you're just asking for 1, and are you not planning for the other vehicles that may then need to be, I guess, be backup for, or are you trying to plan that out for another fiscal year?
We actually plan on using some of the Homeland Security funds to buy 1 more vehicle. But that being said, our fleet is not big. It's only about 4 vehicles. Would like to see us increase that a little bit so that we can increase our logistics capability over the years. But for right now, that's the only one on operational budget. We are looking at Homeland Security dollars as well.
Awesome. That's great to hear about the Homeland Security funding being utilized for updating your fleet. Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Councilmember Tupola.
Aloha, thank you for being here. A few questions. I know some months ago I met with you about particular companies that assist in emergencies and they're kind of like standby, they can come. Have you factored that into your plans as possibly better to keep them on some type of contract or retainer of when we need their services instead of building things out and possibly just holding on to it? I just don't know the pros and cons of both, or maybe if there's portions of the plan that could work for, other portions of the plan where we need the ground support. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that company and companies like it are very valuable. Our challenge that we have with those types of vendors is many times they don't have many or all those resources on island, and then we have to bring them in. But I'm very open to having contracts established with logistics and other disaster service providers so that we can initiate those contracts, especially, and we're not doing it during times of disaster when the hurricane's bearing down on us and that sort of thing. So we have not focused in on anything. Well, we haven't even been in a new budget where we'd even have that money available. But I would definitely like to look at that more and embed that into our logistical planning over time.
Yeah, I think any of these companies are not going to have anything on the ground indefinitely in the states that they support. It's how quick and how fast can they get there, and then that's part of their contract. I suggest that maybe we work on that coming forward. As you stated, there wasn't necessarily budget for that, but there could be, based upon the comments that you made to me prior to today's meeting, possibly with less federal support, possibly with the number of people we have versus how much we need to support. I think this would be a good augmentation that wouldn't cost us as much, but yet we would have that support when and if necessary in helicopters or other things that we really just can't buy and then every year keep maintaining if it's just going to be sitting there on standby. So I look forward to maybe building that out as something that's a new part of your strategy. And as usual, please continue to work on all my MOUs. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chair Tupola. Floor Leader Kia Aina.
Aloha, Director. For the 130,000, I didn't know, is there a center in Kailua? What is this, Kailua Emergency Operating Center? Is there a center there?
Yes, ma'am. It's called the Regional Operations Center. It is very old. It is underground. It is just above the DFM facility.
It's underground.
I'm sorry?
It's underground?
Yes, ma'am. It's buried one story down. And these are old military facilities that have been turned over to civil defense probably back in the 60s, if you will. So,
And do you guys utilize it beyond the Kuleana of DFM?
I would say that they have largely just been sitting there maintained as they are. I have recently just been able to get into them, and our Emergency Management Reserve Corps does use them to headquarters out of and store various equipment, and it becomes their incident command post, and then they rally up and then go out and do their disaster work.
Okay.
But
Okay.
After seeing them, I really do want to evaluate them for, we need to know where incident command posts could be located across the island, and I think that these could could be very viable.
I appreciate it and appreciate your attentiveness. I will endeavor to go there myself. And quick question with regard to the upcoming Kona storm that we'll have this week. The windward side, as you know, was heavily impacted. And so I got calls during as well as after. Fortunately, I thought that the city administration's response to a lot of the challenges were terrific. It was immediate, yeah? However, a lot of people still don't know how to navigate. So I still get people calling. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving my constituents the appropriate info, right? I know that DFM Roads likes to have the email. There's the Honolulu Action Alerts. There's the 311 system. Sometimes it could be during or after recovery. And of course, 911 for emergencies. But I hope you don't mind that because we do all have base yards. I am, putting out the word, and I'm including both the Kailua District Corporation Yard as well as the Kaneohe District Corporation Yard, because sometimes when people are going through it and it's immediate, you got to go through all of these layers. If it's during business hours, which a lot of the rain's going to happen during business hours, I see no problem with them calling the base yards. You don't have a problem with that, correct?
Just what's the intent of them calling the base yards?
That there's a problem in a certain stream. A lot of times when they use the other systems, it's time delayed. Of course, they can call 911, but I can't catch everything. People are on the ground. They're getting impacted. It is public information on the city's website. So in my social media posts, I'll be putting both the base yard for Kailua as well as Kaneohe. So you don't need to answer. I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing. And then lastly, I wanted to thank you for your support for the Fixing Emergency Management for Americans Act, the FEMA Act, which is being considered at the congressional level. As I mentioned, the counties in Hawaii are united, and we have told the Hawaii delegation we want this. We don't want to wait around for the President's Advisory Commission on this. Of all of the elements that are going to be very helpful to all counties, including Honolulu, is that for the public assistance program, it will transition from a reimbursement-based model to a grant-based system, which would make it the flow of funding more efficient as well as effective. So I just wanted to thank you for monitoring it. I was pleased that in talking with you, you were up to speed. You knew exactly what was going on at the cabinet level. And hopefully I gave you some ground intelligence on the movement going on in Congress. What I would hate for the Senate to do, as well as the Advisory Commission, is dilly-dally. Because what is going on in the House side is a bipartisan effort. We need this now, not later, because it doesn't have to be a major disaster. It could be minor disasters like what is happening this week where we need immediate relief. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome, Council Member. We're really excited. Emergency managers across the country, very excited to have that FEMA Fixing Emergency Management in America bill pushed through. So we're really excited in supporting that as well.
Thank you, Floor Leader Kia'aina. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the federal funding grants that you've received, would it be possible to get copies of those grants so we can better understand the scope? That's the first question. The second question is, as we apply for these grants, I understand some of them are run through the state, but I suspect there's also additional needs on the county level that these could also support, and I'd like to work with your office to make sure that we're maximizing additional funds above and beyond what's on this slide that we can dedicate to needs. On the city side, for example, in the Urban Area Security Initiative, I understand 3% of that has to go to election security. The state is taking all 3% of that from the federal allocation to Hawaii, but you know, the city clerk's office could probably use some help with that as well. So that's just one example.
Absolutely can get you those numbers and the notice of funding opportunities. It's not, these aren't grants that we typically apply for. They allocate them based on the historical use of them since post 9/11. But absolutely can get you the numbers on those, and absolutely there are specific things that we have to spend them on. But happy to engage in that conversation and learn more.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And just two things, Director. I mean, first, I wanted to mahalo you, of course, Mayor and Managing Director, for just really stabilizing and building out the capacity of the department. And from there, also continuing to engage with the community in so many ways, and I know so many of us are grateful for that. And so really wanted to mahalo you on that end, because I think it's pivotal to preparing our community for what could be. We know there's a variety of things that will happen in the future. We don't know all the exact ones, but we need to be prepared. So grateful for that. And just stemming from that, the only question I really had, appreciate you making time to meet earlier as well. How is our sign up on the Honolulu alert? Do we know how our progress is? And kind of as was mentioned earlier, I mean, we bring that up all the time because I know we have a lot of community members that struggle with getting access to information, and the more we can get it right onto their phone and their home when they need it most, the better, I think. So I was just curious how that's progressing.
Absolutely. Last time I checked, we were batting right around 100,000 that have subscribed to Honolulu Alerts. And I think that's a great number. It's not a perfect number, obviously. We want to see that number significantly go up. But in knowing what a national standard is, to have basically 10% of the population is not a bad number. That's a good outreach, but we definitely obviously want to see that number go up. And so encourage everybody out there to sign up at hnlalert.gov.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. I had a couple of questions before we go back for our second round. And thank you for meeting with me as well. In our meeting, you did say that it was 3, but today you said 4. So it's 4 positions of the new ones that are actually federally funded currently?
Yes, I had one that was going through a reorg that I had confused, and absolutely, it's full.
Okay, and you did mention that these 4 federally funded positions, the federal funding exists. It's not that it's being cut.
Correct. Our federal funding has actually increased quite a bit with our Urban Area Security Initiative. It actually increased by 314%. So we're excited about that. But your question as to whether it's available or not is tricky because currently with the DHS partial shutdown, it is not available and is not proceeding through. What we're waiting on right now for that money is a memorandum of agreement or a sub-grant agreement for that. And as soon as the shutdown comes back on, then we'll pursue that sub-grant agreement and things will be moving again.
So in the event the funds could be secured in the future, we would, if we make these full-time, permanent full-time, we would then not be able to use the funding that you would be warranted? Is that how I understand it? Most times when departments come to us, it's because the federal funding is gone. It's not going to return. And you're saying currently because of the instability with understanding DHS and their funding, therefore we're not sure if these 4 positions will be funded, but the hope is that they will be funded, or we're going to turn them into full-time positions. I'm asking that because in all the other departments, most of them had to cut positions, and in this one you're asking for more, and in your case, these are possible positions where they could be funded federally, but we're going to be using city funding right now. That's the ask.
I just want to be clear. So our approach to the budget this year was that based on the risk that we have, it's very important for DEM to increase in terms of size and staffing capability. And so we went in asking for positions. And where we settled is a very good place. It's a good stepping stone with 8 new positions that allows us to take 4 positions that we were using federal funds for and move them over to operational, which means we're not dependent on at least those 4 positions to the federal government. That being said, then we have the other 4 positions for the total of 8. That does increase our footprint quite a bit, and we will continue to evaluate what we might need to do with additional positions. And since that federal funding is now not bogged down or in use by those previous 4 positions that I mentioned, then we'll be able to use that to create 1, 2, 5 positions, depends on what we evaluate as to our need.
Okay, and I think that's kind of where my questioning is. Prior to you, I did meet with DEM when I first got into the office in 2022, early 2023, I think, Deputy Director, and I know that the personnel at that time was slim. It wasn't what it is now, but I'm wondering what the need is. Are these positions that are being filled now? Who's doing the responsibilities? Are there people there now that you're just trying to make it permanent? Are they contracted? And in the event where you say we could get federal funding, you're then going to create more positions. I worry about getting too big, and the concern there that if we then create even more positions, is there a need for that? If there is now, why hasn't there been in the past? Because we did talk a lot about this morning with new positions, and you have to fund ERS, you have to fund retirement, you have to have the benefits that come with those positions. So I'm looking into the future as if we're creating this and you're expecting to have more positions, what's the basis to justify that?
Just to confirm, yes, those 4 positions that were grant funded are contract positions that we're trying to get off the contract and free up that money for other uses. My perspective upon coming here, and I can't answer what happened before I got here or anything like that, but my perspective upon coming here is that there is a significant risk to Oahu, to Hawaii, because of our hurricane risk, our tsunami risk, our wildfire risk, our flood risk, and our isolation, of course, and the number of single point vulnerabilities all across the island from our infrastructure mainly. And so holding that much risk, in my opinion, the DEM staff and capability is way lower than what it needs to be, and we need to right-size that. And then on top of right-sizing that for the risk that we have, as we mentioned in this conversation, FEMA is changing, and they are pushing, this current administration is pushing more workload, more responsibility on the state and local departments of emergency management. So we have to right size for risk, and we have to take another leap for what the new administration is pushing down toward us versus FEMA pulling up. So I think this is a great step. 8 positions is a great first step in terms of what we can actually handle over the course of a year, given all the things that we have to do with HR and BFS and other things. But I will be seeking to continue to grow DEM until it's right sized, until we can provide the services that will be needed after a major disaster.
Okay, thank you. So in these duties or responsibilities right now, who's fulfilling them that if the positions haven't been created?
Well, in many cases, I don't think that we are covering down on the level of risk that we're doing. We're not doing the amount of planning that we should be doing. We don't have the logistical capability that we should be doing. We don't have the alert and warning capability that we should be doing. And given that the staff is so skim, that's a problem for us, just like these shelters are a problem for us.
And in your projection, what would the ideal number of staff be for the department?
My current projection is that DEM needs to be around 80 full-time employees.
And currently it is, the staff currently is?
Today it's 15.5 funded and 4.5 with federal, so we got 21.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director. Members going to round 2, start with Councilmember Tolba, Committee Vice Chair Nishimoto, Council Chair Waters, Councilmember Cordero, Councilmember Tupola, Fleury, Councilmember Kiaina, Dos Santos Tam, Wire. Nope. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Members, now moving on to our next on the agenda from the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney. For your information, the presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 167-2026. And with us today, we have the Honorable Stephen S. Alm, Prosecuting Attorney, as well as First Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Thomas J. Brady. Aloha and good afternoon, Prosecuting Attorney Alm. If you could turn your microphone on, thank you so much.
We also have Administrative Specialist Nobala Choi, who will be presenting as well for certain parts of it. So Chair Okimoto, Vice Chair Nishimoto, Chair Waters, members of the Council, you have been very supportive of the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office for all of the years since I was elected in 2020. You have encouraged us. You have tried to help us with salaries to stay competitive. And you've told us to be bold in our requests. So we're here to do that today. It's all about public safety, and I hope we can get your support in being as effective as we can with that. Okay, so you can see what our operating budget is. This is what came through working with the mayor. So it's a very small increase right now, the 1.24, and that's for a few positions like audiovisual, for a substance abuse counselor, for some legal clerk positions, paralegal. Okay. And this breaks it down, and you can see the current expenses are down. This is because of cuts in federal funding for the Victims of Crime Act. Okay, same with the operating budget. You can see that salary net increases, basically the salary adjustments for deputy prosecuting attorneys and executive branch, grant-funded positions, newly added general funded positions. So the operating budget, again, is down, and that's due to the federal grant funding. We think it's down about 40% for the Victims of Crime Act. And there it lays it all out. And you can see on the federal grant fund, that is down about 40%. Okay, for the Justice Assistance Grant, we now do office-wide training, and we've done it from the first year in 2021. It was the first office-wide training since 1987. And it was the first thing at Ala Moana Hotel during COVID. Because as the lawyers on the group know, you don't learn that much about trial skills in law school. So that's what this is heavily. The one we're going to have in this May is actually going to be at Chaminade, and Big Island and Kauai prosecutors are going to come and join us. But this is for next year. And this is so our deputies can be as effective in court as they can. Okay, overtime is, the typical 1.5 overtime rates. And as you can see, the prosecution is typically clerical staff and investigators. Overtime's covered a combination of state and federal grants. And the federal funds, you can see the three main, the Burn JAG, the VAWA, and the VOCA. And again, we'll try to carry, we'll carry on. I think it'll be a mixture of federal funds and state and city funds as far as keeping the warm bodies we have doing from victim witness, even with a cut for VOCA. Okay, I'll ask Mr. Choi to cover this in more detail.
Good afternoon, honorable council members. So on this slide is an overview of our general funded vacancies. So as of February 1st, 2026, we have a total of 48 general funded vacancies. 35 of those vacancies are scheduled to be filled before July 1st. The remaining 13 are scheduled to be filled in FY27. None of those are scheduled to be filled, or none of those are scheduled to be abolished. And this slide is just kind of to provide context and understanding of those 48 general funded vacancies. So according to the civil service permanent position records, it does technically show that we have these 48 general funded vacancies. However, the salary allocation for the majority of these positions are actively funding personal service contract employees that are performing the duties of these general funded vacant positions. So what this means is real people are currently working for our department, performing mission critical work that are committed to working for our department long term to help the community. The goal going forward is to transition these contract employees into these general funded vacant positions once they meet the eligibility requirements of the positions and when we open the civil service recruitment by the end of FY26 and in the first half of FY27. Go back. Yes. And this slide is just a detailed position breakdown of all the 48 general funded vacancies by position type. So you can see that how many positions per position type of the general funded vacancies, the 48 there, and how many employees are on personal service contract performing the duties of the general funded vacancies and their current status. A couple of things to note. Some of the positions have already been filled since February 1st, and 2 of the deputy prosecuting attorney positions that are currently on contract are retired ERS members, so they can't go into the vacant permanent position due to system regulation. So we have to keep them on contract. However, 2 deputy prosecuting attorney salary allocations are going towards to fund their personal service contract. And another thing to note is that you may notice that some of the position types have much more employees on personal service contract than the amount of general funded vacancies for that position type. The reason for that, we are including our personal service contract employees that are grant funded. The reason is because they do qualify to go into those general funded vacancies. So when we do open the recruitment to fill those positions, they will be eligible to apply and potentially fill those positions. So as you can see at the bottom, we have 48 general funded vacancies, against a total of 61 personal service contract employees that are performing the duties of these vacant positions. Next slide, please. And here's an overview of our special and grant-funded vacancies. So as of February 1st, 2026, we have a total of 32 vacancies. None of these are scheduled to be filled before July 1st. None of these are scheduled to be filled in FY27, and none of these are scheduled to be abolished. These positions are entirely dependent on grant funding, and we do not have any grant funding for FY27 for these positions, so they will remain vacant. And this slide is just to give you an overview of other uses of our salary savings. So one of the ways we utilize it, you can see up there, is for vacation payouts. So in particular, our deputy prosecuting attorney positions or employees, when they leave, retire, due to the fact that they're always in trial, they're always in court, they have a high vacation payout, high vacation balance payout that can range from $30,000 to $50,000. So throughout the course of the fiscal year, we always have to be mindful of this in our budget, account for it, and we never know when it's going to happen. Other uses are overtime demands for increased workloads, our legal intern program. So every summer, 12, 13 legal interns, mainly from our local law school there at UH Manoa, come in and work with our department. They get experience, and through that rapport, they're likely to be hired for the following fiscal year as a law clerk deputy prosecuting attorney. And this is critical and a key component of our recruitment for our deputy prosecuting attorney recruitment, as they're the main source of our local recruitment. So we always have to maintain this, and it's primarily used through salary savings from our deputy prosecuting attorney positions. And we also utilize savings for temporary assignment pay, and we also use it to fund the salary of our Safe and Sound West Side coordinator to support our department and HBD implementation of the Safe and Sound West Side. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Prosecuting Attorney Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, so going further into the budget matters. Okay, the Sarah driving out license requires a lot more work. We have to make sure we enter every case into our computer system to keep track of it, and everybody's being ordered by the court to go to HPD to get fingerprinted, because you have to prove numbers 1 and number 2 before you get to number 3. And again, the audiovisual specialist and substance abuse counselor, we have been just paying that on a contract, so this is appreciated. It's part of our Sudafast program, where we go into the jail, get them assessed, get out to treatment within a few weeks of getting arrested, so they're not waiting 8 months to go when they're put on probation. And a paralegal position. And thank you for the funding for the Ali'i Place. The screening and intake division is there. The appellate section will be moving there, and this is for additional office space. You know, we're very busy covering courtrooms. So you can see there are 11 circuit court felony courtrooms every day. There's 5 in family court, 3 domestic violence. District court is all over the island, so it's 33 courtrooms that are covered every day. Now, we appreciate what you have done over the years to try to keep us more competitive. The 5% will help keep us in that ballpark. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we did get, the funding for that. On the other hand, and it's kind of following up on what Mr. Achoy said, our overall budget, we got the $620,000 for the deputies, but our overall salary budget was cut by 5% because I guess the city's reading of that is those positions were vacant. But as was described, if we want to hire lawyers, we have to hire them as law students. We're in competition with the neighbor island prosecutors and private practice. So we hire them typically we get rising third years during the summer, and then at the end of the summer, we hire them. But they're in there as, they're going to be hired to come back right after the bar as a law clerk. And then they will become a deputy. So that is not a vacant position. And it's the same thing with the positions on the clerical staff that are hired. We can hire them so much faster, and other city departments do the same thing. We hire them on contract and then get them in a position. Several months later, they can join, the civil service ranks that way. Okay, the number of deputy prosecutors has not increased in decades, and we are really busy now. As I don't need to tell you, we have had to give money back to the city council for the first 4 years. That has changed. And one area that we have not been successful in since I started is having more deputies in the screening intake division so we can screen cases faster, and I'll go into that in a minute.
Prosecutor, if I know that I want to give you a lot of time, but because your presentation is quite much longer than other departments, if you could maybe go over the most important slides, that would be really helpful. And then, because I want to make sure that members have time to ask the questions that they may have. But
okay, we handle the biggest majority of cases statewide. Between fiscal year 2023 and 25, there was a dramatic rise in felonies that were filed in circuit court, 69% more, and 24% district court. And I think that plays a part in why crime is down across Oahu in virtually every category. Okay, and this just breaks it down by the city, but it's 69% over the 2 years. And then misdemeanors, it's 24%. The average, and the advent of body-worn camera is great for many things, but it also is tremendously labor-intensive, and that's both for felonies and misdemeanors. Even a petty misdemeanor, disorderly conduct in Chinatown, you could have 4 officers surrounding the person arrested. That means you got to watch the body cam of all 4 officers. Everybody counts on us. HPD counts on us to review the body-worn camera. We know the defense counts on us to do the same thing. Next. And there are 2 types of cases. When cases come in, we handle them in 2 ways. If it's a murder, a manslaughter, kidnapping, assault on a law enforcement officer, we hold the defendant in custody. We work with HPD for the next 48 hours so we can charge the person. For other cases, those are immediate charging cases. For other cases like drug possession, thefts, unauthorized controlled propelled vehicle, everything's serious, but those are not quite as serious. So for those cases, the detective writes it up, sends it to our office. It can take up to 5 months for them to have an appointment with a deputy prosecutor. Because for the first 4 years, when we had a deputy prosecutor hire, we had to decide, do we put it in a trial caseload to help do jury trials or in screening? And I have to say, we're going to cover the courtrooms first, because that is the #1 reason people leave our office. It's too stressful. Okay. And the better we can do, the better we're going to be able to follow up with it. Okay, same thing. Okay, and like I say, you're keeping us closer than everybody else. But you can see from this slide, we're still the lowest paid of the agencies. Above us is the attorney generals, and then the neighbor island prosecutors. I think Maui is by far and away the biggest, and that's because housing was tight before, but with a fire, it's really tight. So new deputies, they come in at $130,000. If they have 9 years of experience, it's like $210,000. So it's really, they really are paying a lot to do that. The average felony caseload, 50 active cases. We'd love to get that down to like 30, because they have to review body-worn camera footage. They have to listen to calls at jail, everything. So it's not only it's not only a compensation issue, and we do appreciate the help you've given us for that, but it's a caseload issue. It's a very stressful job, and when the caseload is too high, that's probably what causes more people to leave. And all of the positions are taken up this way. for those that are there. Okay, law clerks are a great way to start. They can operate in court under the supervision of another deputy, and we're trying other strategies. That's lawyers on the left, clerical workers on the right. Okay, I think what really illustrates something really has happened in the last year, because the first 4 years we were giving back a lot of money to you folks, but in fiscal year 2025, we had 25 people applying to be deputy prosecutors. In fiscal year 2026, as of February 20, we've had 212 applications. So if you see fit to figure out a way to give us the 20 extra positions we will have absolutely no trouble filling those positions, because so many people want to end up working at the office now. And there are a number of reasons for this. The number one is we have a really good internship program at the University of Hawaii Law School. So once they come down and work as an income, they all want to work there. They go back to the law school and talk about what a great experience it is. That's one. There's a reciprocity program with Supreme Court. So if people have a bar somewhere else, they can come in and take it. A lot of these are taken up by local kids who went to school in the mainland, took the bar in the mainland, and they find out they can come back and work, which is just great. We do have we're on Indeed. We're sending deputies to job fairs on the East Coast and on the West Coast, and that has been very, very effective. So, and I think the office, the cloud of corruption is long gone. The one thing we really have as a selling point is we are the only office that does a lot of jury trials anymore. You know, the AGs don't do jury trials. Private practice hardly does jury trials. Neighbor islands don't do very many jury trials. So if you want to be a trial attorney, our office is the place to go. So the 20 positions, that would, you know, cost $2.3 million. It would allow us to, I have a real penchant for bringing in people at the front end, but we also have hired a few very good experienced attorneys to help fill up, you know, the right positions at our office. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prosecuting Attorney, so much for the presentation and for being thorough. I would like to start off for questions with Committee Vice Chair Nishimoto. Okay, thank you, Council Chair Waters.
Real quick, thank you so much for your presentation. Just for clarification, early, like page 3 of your slide deck, this is what was approved by the mayor, is that
Yes.
correct? So an additional 6 positions with an additional $668,884. Budget, you're asking us for 20 positions
We
on top of the
asked
6?
the city for that, starting back in August. And then when we met with the managing director and Mr. Kawano and his staff at our office, and then in the beginning of December, and we explained that I think we all share that public safety is number one. And this is what we need to really be hitting on all cylinders. And we were told there's no money in the budget.
Yeah, understood. I just want clarification. So do you have a dollar amount on how much the 20 positions will cost, or you just want the positions and you'll find the money within your existing budget?
The very last slide, 20 positions at $115,000 each, so we can either pay starting salary or the more experienced people, and that would work out to $2,317,680. It's on page 41.
Okay. No, thank you. We'll do our best. As the Managing Director and Budget and Fiscal Services Director mentioned today, everything goes through Budget and Fiscal Services. In order to find $2 million for your office, we're going to have to cut someplace else. So we'll do our best. Thank you.
We appreciate it. And we know they looked at not getting rid of positions, but maybe not funding all of the positions across the city. We were one of the few, you know, that were cut. We think they're, if public safety truly is number one, we're hopeful you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Waters. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Hi, Prosecuting Attorney. So I have a question, and it just may be Manini, but with the federal funds on page 13 of your slides, I do see the FTE one for the Stop Violence Against Women as the 0.75 FTE, and then Victims of Crime Act, so the VOCA, right? You were talking about that for 6.60. Would you be able to explain how positions are at 0.75 and 6.60, even though I know it's federally funded, it just doesn't equate to a full, half employment versus full employment.
Right. The first one, the Burn JAG grant, is filled by a paralegal. The next one, the Stop Violence Against the VAWA, is a paralegal who's 3/4 time, very experienced, but she's at 3/4 time. And the last one is victim witness counselors.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
And so with that, is that also situated so that you can fit the amount of salary that is then received from the federal funds as well, just to fit them in? Or is it just based off of time allotment?
I think, well, it's a combination, the federal funds and state funds. This is where we think we can meet all of these.
Okay, I understand.
Thank
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Chair Okimoto.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Vice Chair Tupola.
Thank you. Aloha, thank you for being here. Thank you for your presentation. Of course, listing out how you guys have increased felony prosecutions and just all the detail that you gave. It was very good. I do think that many people who are concerned about public safety mention your office, right? Because we can only do so much for HPD. There's a lot that's actually needing to be done in your space, which HPD cannot do, because without prosecution, jail time, imprisonment, there's really just a revolving door. So thank you for trying to close that. And similar to what Chair Waters said, we want to. I mean, I personally have always been in favor of all the suggestions you guys have put forward in funding various things, not just these 20 positions, but previous years. I was able to meet the Safe and Sound coordinator for Waianae, Katie. She came from Waikiki. She did a lot of good work with Waikiki Improvement District. Very different from what we're doing in Waianae. We do not have property tax funds that is funding this particular program, so it is a totally different look at how to do it. One of my concerns has remained that with the launch, I guess the official one that happened in November of the Waianae Safe and Sound, that I personally haven't been invited to any meetings, asked any information, any consultation. I helped to write a public safety plan for my community. I have 700 people who signed it, principals who have signed on, people in the community who are now funding initiatives that are community focused, like seeding in programs, like exactly what we're trying to do that people are funding. So what is the nexus or the wisdom behind not inviting me to any meetings?
Well, I think this is the 5th iteration of this kind of a strategy. The first 3 are Weed and Seed. The next ones are Safe and Sound in Waikiki and then the West Side. And no offense to you, Council Member, you have been working really hard for years on the West Side. We have not had any public officials be the front face of things for all 5 positions, because everybody comes with supporters and detractors. So as time goes on, and we've met with you, and you have a lot, you've done public hearings, talk story sessions, people have given you their information. We have used that when we met with you at our office. And I know you're working with Katie. We have to just try to build up some credibility ourselves, because we don't have credibility on the coast like you do. So we're trying to take it slow. That's why we hired out of our general funds Katie Kahanui, because of her background. And we look forward to working with all the representatives in the future.
Well, thank you for saying that it's the 5th iteration and you guys are still trying to figure it out. Humbly, my request and my suggestion to you would be that I am not asking to be the head or the front or the organizer of Safe and Sound Waianae. I don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth. What I'm saying is that police officers ask me, oh, what is your input on this that we're doing? I have to give tertiary, third-party information to people because I don't get invited to the Safe and Sound meetings. All I'm saying is just just being at the table, suggesting, oh, hey, we're moving this way. Hawaii Community Foundations just gave a private grant to one of the youth organizations that we actually advocated for them to have this. So I only see positivity coming from collaborating and not separating. The people that have been invited to the Waianae Safe and Sound are not the lead of community organizers in my community. I could at least give you guys some good guidance, and then I don't need to be there. I'm just suggesting that for me, I haven't seen it take a lot of traction because yes, you guys might have taken some input from me, but it's very difficult when I'm moving all these pieces and then have to kind of convey it to your team. I don't understand why we couldn't work hand in hand.
Okay, and we should, and I think having a full-time coordinator now, I know you folks have met, I anticipate that continuing, and if there are community meetings, we'll make sure you're invited to it. We have her on board now. The first year was really just law enforcement, and it was trying to work with the stores that were out there because they're having so much shoplifting and stuff. It's trying to work with HPD to try to get stuff in place, but after we now have a full-time coordinator, I anticipate those kind of meetings to happen more often.
Thank you. Thank you for the commitment to at least inviting me because I would like to
Absolutely.
Contribute. I want you to be successful. This is, not your first rodeo, but it's different than what was happening in Waikiki. So thank you again for all that you do for our community, for coming out on Friday to Nanukuli. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tupola. Floor Leader Kia Aina.
No questions. Just wanted to make a comment about the request for the positions. Clearly, we got the message. 20 positions at 2.3 million is a lot. So I think as we go through the budgetary process, I just hope that you understand that sometimes it's not about the need, but how we can juggle. First of all, we haven't been put in our budgetary amendments. And just so that you know, and can be realistic about what might be achievable. We just heard Director Collins from DEM said that he has 15, and ideally they should have 80. And there's no doubt in my mind, I actually ran after him because I think one of the reasons, we have, I've been a critic over their capacity to work with everybody, but it's because they're understaffed and everybody knows that they should have more people, considering the fact that, wildfire is probably a disaster that's going to be impacting us more, right, on a daily basis. So having said that, I just wanted to say we got the message. I just don't know if we could meet the 20, and that if you get some of the positions, I think we're going to look at, the totality of the budget and see what we can do. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Floor Leader Kia Aina. Councilmember DeSantis Tam.
Thank you. I'd like to start with a question on slide 18. And while we get there, there's a note under paralegal that there will be a future reorganization. And I am assuming that because there are a number of these vacancies that are actually filled via contract, that a future reorganization might actually be beneficial so we can, properly allocate the number of positions to the correct type of position. So what's the timeline for this future reorganization to happen?
What have you? Yeah, I think between 18 months and 2 years.
That's good to hear. And I want to jump to slide 39 because it notes, and this is, I think, actually a huge deal, that you have 11 candidates hired for FY27. You've been talking with a bunch of 3L students to come in 2028. And so if you take that math and take the number of quote unquote vacancies that you have, this exceeds it. So with the conditional hires that you've made, it seems that we almost kind of have to give you an increased position count to at least accommodate, right?
Well, actually, conditional means we tell them, we'd love to hire you. We do not have positions right now. We will be asking the city council for positions, and we're just hoping for the best. But we're in competition with a lot of other people, so they're on the list, and we're rank ordering them. And if we get the positions, we'll be calling them in order. And if we don't, we'll say, try again next year.
Is there any, I recognize 20 positions is a big ask, and I
Yes.
of course support this. Is there any downside to giving you the positions and scrounging around for as much funding as we can, but might not be, we might not be able to squeeze all 2-point-something million, but we could give you 20 positions, and with other savings, you could maybe make something work? I'm just trying to think of
We
what
will do, whatever we can. If you can give us some of those, but, we really would appreciate it. We'll try to use the savings, because the savings will be down this year from next, because we're filling all these law clerk positions to become deputies. And then the following year, the savings will be even smaller, because we will be filled with all of the deputies.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember DeSantos Tam. Councilmember Tolba.
Prosecutor, in addition to the 20 deputy positions, there's an additional 1.2 million in the relocation cuts. If we don't fund these, those cuts, how will it impact the department and public safety?
Well, the one thing we have not been able to do is reduce the size of the caseloads, which is like at 50 now, and that's a lot of cases. But we also have not been able to speed up that backlog in screening intake. So some kids driving a stolen car, detective talks to them, thinks they have a, hey, get a likely case against them. They write it up, they send it to our office, it goes in a filing cabinet, and first in, first out, our deputies will get to it. But that could be 5 months down the road, in which case that kid has picked up another couple of charges. So the more we can do at the front end, I think we really can reduce crime that way. Better to get these kids, into probation, get them drug tested and the like. We were really surprised. We knew it was busier, but when we looked at the stats, 69% increase in federal filing, in felony filings. That makes it really difficult to reduce any caseload or the like. We wouldn't have been able to do it except we're getting so many applicants now, and they come in every week. So it's a great situation. We were hoping this would happen 3 years ago, but it's happening now. Better late than never.
I should have concerns on the cuts to the prosecutor's office. I understand even the request for the 20 additional deputy prosecutor positions. I hope that through the whole budget amendments, we can find a path to fund the office. We all know those little cases that he just talked about, it's in our community every single day. And every time we see things like this happen, from shoplifting, it makes it look like we're a lawless society. And it's harder for the police officers. It's harder for everybody in general. So, I hope we can find a way to fund you guys, because this supports, public safety and, our community.
And the problem, too, is if it's 5 or 6 months, by then, the person might have gotten insurance, so they may say, I don't want to go to court to testify. So, right. That means that guy got away with it, which isn't good either. So,
right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tolba. I will just for discussion before I go for a second round, I'm guessing we don't have too many second round, but I will say that I think as a body, we feel it's important to support the best we can. I look forward to the members' amendments to see what we can do. It is a tall order. However, I do think that, over the years we have discussed the importance of, I've been very passionate about keeping repeat offenders off of our streets, keeping our communities safe. So I'm looking forward to the ideas that the body has, and hopefully, like Councilmember DeSantos Tam and Chair Waters said, we will do the best that we can, understanding
we appreciate your efforts.
The restraints that we're in also. Members, if we have any second round questions for Prosecuting Attorney thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving next on to the Royal Hawaiian Band, and I appreciate those of you again who have been waiting so patiently for your turn. We are heading towards the end of the agenda, but we will hear from the Royal Hawaiian Band. And members, for your information, this presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 168-2026. And joining us today, we have Bandmaster Clark Bright. Aloha and good afternoon, Bandmaster.
Aloha.
Budget Chair Okimoto, aloha, council members. My name is Clark Bright, Bandmaster of the Royal Hawaiian Band. To my left is Eric Kopp, our Assistant Administrator, a 38-year member of the Royal Hawaiian Band. We'd like to start our budget briefing presentation by informing you of several items. First of all, the salaries was an increase of about 7.4% or 223,000. Our current expenses was an increase of about 11.64% or 43,000. And our equipment actually went down 20%, about $5,000. And on the next slide, I'll explain some of the budget issues regarding this. The issue one was salaries increase was primarily due to the collective bargaining agreement raises. The issue two, the current expense increase of 11.64% is due to the replacement of instruments between $5,000 to $10,000 that are now part of current expense, while previously considered in Section C of equipment. We're also increasing our funding for uniforms and smaller equipment repair and or replacement due to rising costs. And the issue three, the equipment expense decrease of 20% reflects a difference in the instrument being purchased for the next replacement value, which is actually less than the past fiscal year. Moving on to our vacancy report. We do have one vacancy. There were no positions filled from February 1st and no positions vacated from February 1st. So we do have a total of one. And that one position will be filled by June 30th of this fiscal year. And we are looking forward to a full complement of Royal Hawaiian Band members. Our overtime from Fund 110 equates to approximately 1,500 hours or $70,000 in our budget. Overtime is really work done outside of our job description and outside of our work hours when called. Like 20,000 for truck drivers who are appearing before and leaving after work, about 40,000 for our sound engineers, which includes setup, engineering, and breakdown, and about another 10,000 for logistical assistance, which includes equipment, tents, various movements needed before or after hours. And the next slide is our capital budget. We just have one procurement of a major equipment, and that's a passenger/equipment van. We need two to replace our present two. We have one that's of 25 years of age and one 17 years of age. They have exceeded the service life, and so we want to put in for that one. Total of $140,000 for capital budget.
Sorry to interrupt, Director. I'm Bandmaster. At this time, I'd like to have Councilmember DeSantis Tam called as a quorum member. Then I believe we have four, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bandmaster.
Thank you. And that actually finishes up our presentation. We're open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bandmaster. Members, we will start with Councilmember DeSantis Tam. Any questions for Bandmaster? Councilmember Toba, Vice Chair Nishimoto. Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I just want to thank you for all the joy that you bring to all of our communities. I know you.
Oh, thank you. It's our joy and honor.
Value.
Thank you very, very much. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Okay, members, now moving on to Department of Medical Examiner. For your information, this presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 169-2026. With us, we have from the department, Medical Examiner Dr. Masayuki Kobayashi and Deputy Medical Examiner Dr. Sasha Breland.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello, Dr. Kobayashi.
Oh, and hi. Good afternoon, Budget Chair Okimoto and Council members. I'm Masahiko Kobayashi, Medical Examiner. Thank you for the opportunity to present the budget request for the Department of the Medical Examiner. First, I would like to show our caseload trends requested by the Budget Chair. The blue line represents reported cases. And the orange line is cases in which we assumed jurisdiction. The orange cases.
Sorry, Dr. Kobayashi, I hate to interrupt you, but just for, again, quorum purposes, I have to, again, appoint Councilmember Dos Santos Tam to welcome back Councilmember Cordero, but with Vice Chair Nishimoto gone, I'm again appointing Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Thank you, Dr. Kobayashi.
Okay. The orange cases are a subset of the reported cases. So our investigators handle all reported cases, including those where we assume jurisdiction, while our doctors work primarily on the jurisdictional orange cases. As you can see, our caseload has increased over the past decade. This chart shows trends by manner of death. The values are indexed to 2010. So 1.0 represents the 2010 level. The red line represents accidental death. The accidental deaths have increased steadily over the time, so largely driven by drug overdoses. And the green line represents natural death, which also increased, especially during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of these cases involve elderly individuals who died at home. Okay. In the FY27 operating budget request shows increases in all categories. Salaries increased due to union negotiated adjustments as well as budget issues. I will explain shortly. Current expenses include supplemental funds to address the ending of federal grants, as well as other budget issues. Equipment includes several necessary operational items, including a scene response vehicle. These are our budget issues. And the first item reflects our recent reorganization, including a working supervisor position for the autopsy technicians and a private secretary for the deputy medical examiner, Dr. Breland. And the second item concerns relocation of our temporary morgue equipment. We maintain refrigerated trailers and generators for mass fatality incidents. These are currently located at the Ibire Center, and we must vacate the site within this calendar year. The estimated relocation cost is about $50,000. The third item is our home death investigation initiative, which I will explain on the next slide. We are requesting 3 medical legal investigator positions with a salary of $56,700 per position. Currently, when someone passes away at home, our department may not always be involved. This has resulted in delayed or incomplete investigations in some cases. Under this initiative, MED investigators would respond to all home deaths so that we can determine jurisdiction accurately at the scene. This initiative would require investigators to respond to more than 550 additional scenes annually. To support a 24-hour response system, we are requesting 3 additional medical legal investigator positions. This slide shows our vacancies. We had 8 vacant positions as of February 1st. Since then, 3 positions have been filled. As of today, we have 5 vacancies remaining, but 4 job offers have been accepted already. And we are currently recruiting for the last remaining position, only 1 position. We expect all positions to be filled by June 30th. Okay, our operations run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As a result, we have both non-holiday and holiday overtime, primarily for medical legal investigators, as well as management staff and autopsy technicians. We receive a small amount of revenue from fees for autopsy reports. Because the fee schedule was recently revised, the long-term revenue impact is still uncertain. No federal funds are included in the FY27 operating budget. However, MOD has been using CDC overdose data to action grant funds distributed through the State Department of Health for overdose case screening. This grant has provided approximately $155,000 per year, but will end in August 2026. Thank you for your continued support of our department. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Kobayashi. Members, we're going to start with Chair Waters for this first round. No questions. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question as it relates to having to vacate. I know that you mentioned in our meetings the possible timeline and possible use of other facilities. Would you be able to just highlight, I guess, proximity to a city center or dense areas that you may need to, I guess, be situated in for a temporary space?
Ideally, the temporal morgue location should be near our office, but I know it's very hard to find a kind of land. So at this point, we are kind of requesting HPD and HIEMA's help, and probably we are getting some place in EVA, yeah, but it's not certain at this point.
Oh. Thank you. And I was just wondering, with if you were to get HIEMA's assistance, would that also result in any state or maybe even federal assistance in the temporary relocation?
I don't think it's monetary, yeah. So, but
okay.
They may let us use their land, yes, for temporary relocation, yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Okay, those are my questions for this round. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Floor Leader Kia Aina.
Thank you. Director, no questions. I just wanted to thank you for meeting with me and for explaining the importance of the positions. I know you have the two other positions for the reorganization efforts, but I really appreciated your explanation on the home deaths investigation initiative. You know, I didn't, that's why I kept an at, because I didn't quite fully understand it. And then once I understood it, I was like, oh my God, right? So I just wanted to thank you for that. And just to say, reiterate what I said in my office, both yourself and the deputy director have a very, very difficult job. And so just know that you guys are deeply appreciated and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Floor Leader Kia Aina. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the home death investigation initiative, I know that the coroner's office, your office in this case, is regulated by the state, HRS 841. Do we, as a council, would we need to give you any additional authority or make any ordinance changes in order to provide you with further authority to conduct this initiative?
In order to do this investigation, we do not need any additional authority. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Councilmember Talba. Okay. Second round, Councilmember Cordero.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Dr. Kobayashi, I was wondering, I know we talked a lot about the generator, and then I talked about, then we talked about possible areas that where you would be relocated to, and I talked about like the area where you are now has issues with flooding, and if you were to go to EVA, you would need a generator that would then be able to supply both the current location as well as a possible newer but temporary location. Is that correct? When do you think you would be requesting for such another large electrical generator?
I think you may be kind of misunderstanding, or I made you misunderstand. So, so this is temporary morgue site. So only they store the trailers and generators. Yeah, but probably you are talking about our facility moving to some other area.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. So our current facility was kind of designated for smaller operations. So we are kind of growing, kind of over the facility capacity. So we really need kind of another facility, maybe 10, 20 years, or if it's shorter, that's grateful. But we have been communicating with the Department of Housing and Land Management regarding the EBRE redevelopment planning process. So we have asked the medical examiner's facility be considered kind of as a part of the redevelopment. So we can stay that area. So because our facility should be somewhere in the town, because there are so many cases are coming from kind of the city kind of center. So if we relocate to kind of remote area, then the transport is so hard. Yes.
Thank you for that explanation, and I hope that we find a place. I know that I mentioned in our meeting that EMS had other remote sites, like one in my district, like Palimomi, I mentioned that. I know that they have been equipped to support ambulatory services prior, as well as their staffing. And I don't know, I never asked permission to say that, but like just in general, I know that there have been other sites that have been, I guess, used for rental that are still in the primary urban centers. So hopefully you'll find one, and I support that. And I definitely support all the efforts that you're trying to push forward for your agency. Thank you, Dr. Kobayashi.
Thank you,
Chair.
Councilmember Cordero. Chair Waters, no? Chair Waters? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm looking at your slide with the graph dealing with MED caseload by manner of death. So 41% would be drug overdose. Does that come under suicide, accidental, or natural?
So this kind of blue kind of rectangular area, so this is actually accidental death. Yes, so the drug overdose is classified as accident in many cases, most of the cases.
How do you tell if it's accidental or on purpose?
Oh.
How can you tell if it's accidental or on purpose?
So this is based on like our scene investigation and also our interviews. And also sometimes the drug levels, yeah.
So your office will go down to the scene where you collect the body?
Yes, so we have to go to the scene, yes, for investigation.
I see. Based on all that you know, where should we be putting our resources to maybe try to curb some of these deaths, whether it be falls, motor vehicle crashes, suicide? What's your advice for us?
So we provide all the data to all the agencies that are kind of working on the prevention side. But actually, we have only little idea about how to prevent those deaths in many cases, yes.
Well, just give us one nugget that we can take home before we move on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, for example, yeah, for the like overdose case, yeah, we really closely work with kind of DOH and also the HIDA, kind of HIDTA, yeah, yes. But otherwise, actually, Dr. Brilliant has been working with the kind of state level, so maybe she can provide good explanation.
Yes, so prevention is something that our data can impact. And so, you know, if you were to say, how do we combat drug deaths today? How do we lower those numbers? I think we see a lot of the drug deaths in our homeless populations. And I know a lot of work is being already done with the homeless population and try to address not only the mental health issues, but the physical health issues as well as the drug-related issues. So I would say if we see that drug deaths are 41% of our accidental deaths. It's a high number. It continues to be a high number with methamphetamine feeding that. And so if we can, as a community, figure out how to address or even stop the import or production of methamphetamine, that might be impactful if we can do more work with our homeless individuals to get them ways to deal with issues other than drugs that could be impactful. It's a difficult, you know, kind of thing to solve, but it's doable.
No, that's interesting. You're saying it's methamphetamine, it's not fentanyl?
So we don't, as you know, I came from DC where fentanyl was a much bigger problem. And in fact, in my 10 years in DC, I probably had 3 methamphetamine deaths, whereas in my year and a half here, I've had maybe 3 fentanyl related deaths. And so we do see a lot more methamphetamine here than we do in other places in the mainland, yes.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Waters. I'll just ask, I want to thank you guys again for always being willing to meet. And Dr. Kobayashi, thank you. I know when you brought Dr. Breland on, your team got stronger. I did want to thank you for explaining, as Councilmember Kiaina mentioned, the home deaths, because that was something that I don't think I was educated on. But it's really important. I realize what you do for the criminal investigation parts of many of these deaths. And you, on your last page, maybe you explained this, but if you could repeat to me. So for the federal funds, you said there's no federal funds included in this budget, and you've been using the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC overdose data to action grant. Is that something that we're going to continue? Are there other grants that we can seek federally to help the department out?
At this point, we don't have any kind of federal grants coming in.
Okay. But will the department be hopefully continuing to look for grants?
Hopefully, we can work with DOH.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. Members, any further questions for medical examiner? Thank you so much, Dr. Kobayashi and your team.
Thank you.
Okay. Members, now moving on to the Department of the Corporation Counsel. For your information, this presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 170-2026. And with us, we have from Corporation Counsel, Dana Viola, as well as First Deputy Renee Sonobe Hong. Hello, Director.
Good afternoon, Chair Okimoto, Council Chair Waters, and honorable council members. I'm Dana Viola, Corporation Counsel. My presentation is pretty simple. We basically are comprised of our salaries and our current expenses and our judgment and losses account. So if you can see on the slide, there is a reduction this year, of a small reduction of 0.11%. That includes the increase that we got for the raises, the collective bargaining raises, as well as the matching raises for the deputies, and then the reduction in salaries that was essentially imposed upon most of the departments. So that came to a total of a 0.11% negative total. And then for our current expenses, there is a reduction of about $355,000. And which represents about 7.5% of our current expenses. We don't have any equipment, so there's an overall reduction in our budget of approximately 2.29%. This is our vacancy list. We have 15 vacancies. We filled 2 positions so that we now have 13. We're really in good standing right now with our deputies. I think right now we only have 2 vacancies, 1 in our counseling drafting section and 1 in our litigation section. So we're doing pretty good deputy-wise. We have made some progress. We've had some departures from retirements in our staff. We don't have a ASO, and let me introduce our acting ASO, Jennifer Wong, who is to my left. She is currently filling in on for this position. She's really helped a lot. So has my deputy, First Deputy Renee Sonobe Hong. They've both been filling in for our ASO because we've had that vacancy since July of last year. This is our overtime expenses.
This represents the overtime costs for staff, mainly in preparation for trial and other court appearances. And finally, our judgment and losses. This shows a small reduction from last year, from 19.5 to 19.1 million. This, of course, will cover judgment and losses for all the outstanding litigation that we're dealing with. Right now, when I poll the deputies for all the outstanding cases, they estimate, and this is a worst case scenario estimate, they estimate approximately 48 million. So if we were to lose every case, we could possibly be exposed to 48 million, but really that is normally not the case, but we need enough coverage to be able to cover judgments and settlements. So that's why we recommend 19.1.
Thank you, Director. Members, we'll start with the first one of questions, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. So thank you for your presentation, Corporation Counsel Viola. I was just really wondering, I think we mentioned, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, we were so close to spending down those judgments and losses. I don't know, it was 4 years ago? I don't remember. But with that, I was wondering if those judgments and losses can then be incorporated into other agencies, especially those who are egregious in the amount of cases that come before Corporation Counsel. Egregious, that's not the best word for it, but you know what I mean, like recurring actors that Corporation Counsel has to defend.
So the judgment and losses, that would cover all the cases. So we get cases for the entire city. So this covers all the departments, any lawsuits that come into the city against all the departments. So this is the account that would essentially cover the litigation. So I'm sorry, but I'm not, what are you asking if it could cover?
Okay, basically, can we ask HPD to just like have some funding on their side for their judgments and losses, since
I see.
Corporation Counsel is like covering their, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, so you're saying, should the departments be responsible for the cases that come out of their departments? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe not all, but maybe at least have some wiggle room so that, the 19.1 won't have to all come from Corporation Counsel's budget.
Right, so that's possible. I think it's been historically kept with Corporation Counsel because essentially we handle all the litigation. So I ultimately make the decisions on the litigation, and with consultation with the departments as well as administration, and also upon approval from counsel. So generally speaking, since Corporation Counsel is the one dealing with the judgments and negotiating settlements, it makes sense that we essentially have control over the account. So I think, for the state legislature, for example, I think there was a move to take it out of the AG's office and to have the departments responsible for the cases that come out of their departments. So there's some kind of connection with essentially the, the results of the litigation. But we're a lot smaller. So I think it's good. I like to have that control because essentially we know where our budget is, we know essentially what we have left, and so it's nice to have a general control over that.
I fully agree with that being centralized with Department of Corporation Counsel. I just think maybe just like not a buy-in, but like just some money set aside from departments that are continuously facing litigation that then goes to Department of Corporation Counsel to handle. I think it's just a little. I don't know how best to describe it, but I think it would be helpful to ensure that we don't get as close as we did a few years ago. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Okimoto.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Floor Leader Kia Aina.
Aloha, Director. I appreciate that you're one of the few agencies that actually has a decrease in your budget. With regard to the settlements, I may have missed it. What was the total amount in fiscal 26?
19.5 million.
Oh, and then what accounts for the decrease?
There was, I think, a set aside for, I believe, another expense within the city, so they did some adjustment.
Okay, and of that 19.6 from last year, how much was spent?
Approximately, I think, 4.2 million. So last year was a small amount. Like Councilmember Cordero stated, a couple years ago, we got to about 16.5. So we got close to our expenditure. So, I mean, our appropriation. So, you know, we need some cushion.
Got it.
Depending on what kind of cases that we anticipate in the upcoming year.
And then when you don't use it, and I'm so sorry if I wasn't listening because I was doing some other work.
Okay.
But do you return it?
Yeah, it lapses. We don't.
Or lapses?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
And continue the good work.
Thank you, Councilmember Kiana. Councilmember DeSantis Tam.
No questions at this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Talba, Chair Waters. Okay, thank you so much. I just had a quick question. For the 19 million that you're asking for this year, or let's go back to last year where it was 19.5 or 6. Can you tell me what amount of that was given to settlements versus what was spent on, I guess you said legal fees for court cases?
So
Or I guess
for trials, as opposed settlement versus
Correct.
trial. So the
I'm trying
total
to
amount was for the trials. I'm sorry, so total amount is for settlement.
this whole thing is for settlement, nothing for trial.
Yeah, because the last trial we had was the money trial and there was no judgment against the city.
Do we have any numbers on what we spent on trials versus settlements then?
So
compared to
so
trial
we can set it wouldn't go into our judgment and losses. So the amounts that we spend on trial, some of that overtime was per the Miami
That's
case. So that goes into our current expenses, and that really, and really the salaries, because the deputies and the staff are spending time preparing for trial. So they spend years of discovering it's not reflected in the judgment and losses. That's set aside only for settlement and judgments.
Understood that. I'm just knowing that. What numbers are we spending on trial cases versus settlements?
Okay, so
you're saying it's salaries, it's overtime.
Yeah,
Do
so-
you have an idea of what that total would be for the last year, versus what we allocated or spent on?
If I were to tell you
settlements?
so I guess how I could say this is, we have a litigation division that is dedicated to defending the city, right, on all civil cases, for cases that the city is sued. So there are approximately 15 deputies and probably maybe around 8 staff members. And so all of their salaries, everything they do is to prepare and to address litigation. So all of their costs, everything that we essentially pay to them, that goes to litigation preparation.
At some point, though, some go to court and some don't, correct? As they're preparing.
Yeah, and then, a lot of what they do in preparing for trials and in resolving cases, they will go to court and they will file motions, essentially to dismiss or to resolve issues in preparation for trial. So they do spend some time in court, even if they don't finally go to trial. I gotta share, I was doing some research because, in our my discussions with you, you were asking about, I guess, the how often, court cases go to trial. Overall, in the state, there was a study done, and this is kind of late, but this is what I found. In 2001, 98% of the cases did not go to trial. So if you're evaluating civil litigation in general, not only by corporation counsel, the majority of the cases that are filed in court do not end in a jury trial.
So you have the state number, but for the city, you're saying it's
For the
parallel.
city, probably we go to trial more often.
Okay.
Because in the last few years, we've had about between 4 and 5 trials, I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Members, any further questions for the director? Okay, thank you. Seeing no more questions for Director Viola, we will now turn to the Ethics Commission from the Department of the Corporation Counsel.
Thank you.
And members, for your information, the presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 171-2026. With us today, we have the Acting Executive Director and Legal Counsel from the Ethics Commission, Elmira Sang. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Can you push the button on, Director? Thank you.
Aloha Budget Chair Okimoto and council members. I'm here today with the chair of our commission, Shelton Jim On. I'd like to today tell you a little bit, I know it's late, I know everyone wants to go home. I want to tell you a little bit about what we do, go over our budget real quick, and then our chair wanted to make a presentation a short presentation, and we'd like to take questions thereafter if you have any. So, okay, not yet. So the ethics works to ensure that all employees, elected officials, and appointed officers of the City and County of Honolulu demonstrate the highest standard of ethical conduct so that the public may have trust and confidence in the integrity of government. With ethics, staff of 11 people. Ethics does this by heavy focus on outreach and education. Our attorney of the day responses to inquiries, reviews of financial disclosures, disclosures of interest, conflicts of interest, lobbyist reports, registration, and enforcement actions, to name a few. First slide. Yeah. So in terms of our budget, you'll see that we have a change in salary. We have a decrease of about 0.16%. And also our current expenses have a decrease of 0.49% and a total decrease of budget of 0.19%. Next slide. And one of the issues we have here is a decrease in the total budget of $1,831. Next slide. Okay. So the next slide is our vacancy positions. You'll see that we have, apologies, you'll see that we have 4 vacant positions. These were all unexpected vacancies that occurred in December and January of this year, so very recently. 3 of which cannot be filled until vacation is paid out in March or April of this year. And we expect to fill all these positions. We hope to fill all these positions by June of this year. Next slide. We were told that there's a standard slide, so a lot of the rest of this is really not applicable, but we put it here for your benefit so you'd have standard slides. So we have no overtime budgeted for next year. We usually don't. Next slide. We intake no revenues. Next slide. We receive no federal funds. Next slide. We have no capital budget allocated. And I'm going to turn the podium over to our chair for a brief announcement.
Thank you very much, Budget Chair Okimoto and Chair Waters, and all the members of the committee, the council members. I just wanted to thank each and every council member who allowed us to visit your chambers and speak to you about the budgetary issues that we are impacting us this year, and to give us some time to talk about what we do as the commission and what we hope to do. Some of the council members even allowed us to visit them twice, despite their busy schedule, and we really, really appreciated that. I just wanted to address the point that as an independent body, as an independent commission, we are concerned with the vacancy cutbacks with respect to this case. And we're concerned because it disproportionately impacts us more than any other agencies. We only have 11, as you can tell, members. We lost 4 in a span of 30 days, and now we can't fill them for several months. One of them being the executive director, and that's not going to be filled until much later, until June, because we're interviewing them right now. Because of these vacancy cutbacks, we've estimated that the total amount that will be impacted on our small budget will be approximately $36,000, a little less than $36,000. And that's more than half the salary of a support staff person. Because we cannot fill many of the vacancies until several months from now, I wanted to point out that we are operating at 60%, roughly. And operated at 60% when we have the ADA compliance coming up, when we have the financial disclosures to come up to review, and then we have the lobbyists to review, then we have the other things that we normally do, which are taking complaints and adjudicating complaints and answering the public insofar as what we do, answering officials. And we try to do that within a timely fashion, hopefully within 24 hours. If we cannot have these vacancies filled at competitive price, at competitive salaries, we're going to suffer a lot. And how we're going to suffer is this. We always do exit interviews with staff members, and one of them just flat out told me that we are not competitive with the market. And because of that, she left and went to another job that was more competitive. We hope that they will return, but if the vacancy cutback occurs, we can rest assured that she will not return under any circumstances. And we expect to be challenged more by associate attorneys who are asking for raises. Given that, we believe that we're asking the council members, each and every one of you, to not apply the vacancy cutback to this small commission. We're independent for a reason, and our independence allows us to perform the functions of an independent body. I would also like to add that we did request 2 additional positions. We requested, and we've explained to each council member that we are asking for an associate attorney, and we're asking for a paralegal. We believe that, well, I know that every year as a commission member, I've seen the number of complaints grow. I've seen the number of questions grow. I've seen the number of adjudications grow as a commission member. So with all of those challenges, if we have those positions funded by the city council, I know we'll be able to operate at a very high efficiency level. That's about what my presentation here. But first and foremost, I'm here to address the impact of the vacancy cutback. And if you have any questions, the acting director and myself would be happy to address anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commission Chair. Members, we'll start our round of questions with Councilmember Kiaina.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. I just want to make sure I get my facts straight. So with the across-the-board cuts to all agencies, your cut was 4 vacancies?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So it's page 3 is a little misleading then, because to be filled by June 30th, that's not true because you're told not to fill it.
Well, we are trying to work out with administration how.
No, I know, but it's not hard. I think you should. You need to do probably present this in a different way so that if someone just found this, they'll know exactly. Because according to this, it makes it look like you have 4 vacancies, and that you're going to try to fill it. Okay. So having said that, so I just want to make sure. So the across the board cuts disproportionately affects you because of the small size of your agency, correct?
Yes.
Or your commission. Second, you would like to have 2 additional staff. So are you seeking then to make sure that the 4 vacancies are safeguarded? And then when you combine the 2, you're looking at 6 staff? 4 to save with regard to the vacancies, and you feel confident you'd be able to fill them, and 2 additional on top of the 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kiaina. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Thank you, Councilmember Tolba. Chair Waters.
Yeah, thank you. Just to follow up on what Councilmember Kiaina was saying, your slide deck was a little bit hard to understand. So your 4 positions are actually the vacant positions. That represents, though, is that $1,831?
Well, actually, the number represents what's in the executive budget, and There was a discrepancy in base salary. However, we've worked that out with administration, so it doesn't reflect that. It reflects all, and therefore the number is not larger because when we work this out with administration, they did also provide for bargaining unit increases and merit increases consistent with Corporation Counsel.
I see.
And on top of that, there is also a vacancy cutback of about a little less than 36,000.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense. But also, you illustrate a very good point that when someone leaves, you have to absorb the retirement pay within the base budget. Right. You're not given any extra money. And in this case, where your executive director leaves, you have to absorb that probably very high dollar amount.
Right, for the vacation payout.
For the vacation payout. Yeah. So it's not just your department. I think it's every single department. But in a department your size, you can absolutely feel it because you can't really absorb it as well as, say, a department that has 240 vacancies.
Right. We have no vacancy savings, and these are not fallow vacant positions. They were vacant as of 2 months ago or a month ago.
Right.
And we have no money to pay out the vacation, basically. We can't hire.
Right. Just the thought. I mean, maybe we can bring back Director Kawano at some point and say, why can't we, at least for the smaller departments, put a little extra money in there so that if someone leaves, and maybe you would be helpful if you know if people are going to leave, and sometimes you can't tell, but certainly for retirements, if somebody's at a retirement age, that we could put in a little extra money for vacation payouts. But thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Waters. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto, and thank you to the Commission Chair as well as the Acting Executive Director. I really appreciate it, and I know that you really highlighted the amount of more queries and work that your office has received, and I know it's probably most likely because of how much more approachable the Ethics Commission is and has been. I know I mentioned to you how I felt like when I first experienced the Ethics Commission back in 2012, I was scared. Like, it was like scary. And so the shift of that has been great. And I know that even with a smaller agency, a smaller FTE, that you folks are working really hard to get all that information out to us. And so how much of that budget has focused on the strategy to become more approachable and get all that information out? I mentioned to you that I follow the X or Twitter with all the ethics information and all of that. So such a huge difference, but how much of your budget is dedicated to such a strategy like that?
First, Council Member Cordero, I'd like to thank you for recognizing the hard work of the staff. Our staff works really hard in the outreach. It's hard to pinpoint how much of our staff time is spent. As you saw in our first budget numbers, about 95% of it is salaries. The rest is equipment. And so in terms of salaries, we have 1 training specialist, 2 attorneys. The attorneys touch almost every programmatic activity we do, whether it's enforcement, training, newsletters, because they have to review all of it for legal sufficiency, the pop-up, so they can answer questions at tables when we're down in Honolulu Hale. And so it's a little hard to gauge because, and same with the legal clerks. So the legal clerks and the attorney time is harder to pinpoint than, say, the training specialist salary, which is confidential information. If it's within a, you know, a collective bargaining, you can't quite get the salary. So.
Okay, I understand. So I won't ask that, but I think the Commission Chair was going to mention something.
I just wanted to ask that that's a substantial portion of our responsibility. So everyone in the office is dedicated toward getting an immediate response, like you said, to decrease the response time. However, to add to that, if we are funded for these additional positions, I can rest assured that we would probably respond a lot quicker because everybody in the office, law clerks, administrative clerks, the associate attorneys, try to respond to the questions posed by public officials and the public as quickly as possible. And there's a turnaround time. I've noticed that within 1 day, we could do it a lot faster if we have more people involved in this, such as an additional associate attorney and paralegal.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing up also that your team and your staff handle also when this, so not just the disclosures, but also the reports that go out with the financial reports, but as well as the ADA compliance review. Is that you folks reviewing all the city agencies? Is that what it is? Or because I know that my staff, I know that our council staff is reminding my staff to get on it, and my staff have been working really hard to be up to compliance. But is that you folks reviewing all of us, or what's up with that?
We are only doing ADA web compliance for our office. However, we post all of the advisory opinions that we have so that the public can have access to it, because our decisions are not published on Westlaw or Lexis. So that's taking a lot of work. It's all the PDFs for more than a decade. So
so it's just all on your own page, just like Office of Information Practices, for example.
Including all our brochures, our videos that we like people to let view, our training videos, or if they have questions and answers, say about Honolulu City Lights and fundraising, we have videos on that, and we have to make that all ADA compliant if we want it to be accessible in pursuing our outreach as one of our main programs.
Yes, and thank you very much for updating those videos, more entertaining this time around. So thank you. I appreciate it. I still never go through the whole thing, but I promise little by little. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Members, any further questions for the department? Just in final discussion, I do want to thank you guys. I know in this day and age where we have the importance of government transparency and accountability, what you guys do is essential for us to be able to do our jobs the right way and represent our community. So thank you. We'll continue to discuss and see what we can do during the budget process. Thank you for being here with us. Members, as another reminder, seeing no further discussion, as another reminder, if you have any supplementary questions for the departments, please provide them to my office so we may compile them for the department or managing director's office to respond. Mahalo everyone for attending and participating in today's meeting. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.